Hello, and welcome to this video. In this video, I'm reacting to a video by Jubilee. It's a video that, it basically is a male feminist versus female anti-feminists. So let's dive into that video. So here we have our video, and I'm just gonna start playing it because it's an interesting concept. But yeah, let's check it out. Let's see if it actually works this time. I've had problems in the past where the video just doesn't load.
Can I ask you a question, though, or ask the group a question? There's more world leaders who are male, and typically I think
Good,
leadership...
that's a good thing. Women should...
You jump to that? Why? Like, even if you're an anti-feminist, people have different abilities. So if you're a very good ground worker, let's say you're very smart when people give you tasks, you're very good at, lifting things, very good at physical work. But the thing is, I need to tell you what to lift. I need to tell you what to work out. So in that case, yes, if you say those people, if you generalize, if you say those, I think those people are, you're not right, you're incorrect. But you're being, a racist or a sexist or something like that. But, like, you're generalizing. And you're wrong. But you're saying those people are good at this thing. How exactly are people who are good at doing things that they're told, lifting things, analytical thing, how are they good at deciding what shall be done in that case? Because then you're basically saying, they're good at everything. But the problem is that humans are not really good at everything. You're ultimately going to go against the thing of, well, every man is not good at everything, clearly, So you do have to ask, well, if every man is not good at this leadership thing, is it possible that some women are better than some men? Or are you just going to be ignorant about this?
To not be positions of extreme leadership like presidents, et cetera,
Technically
because
speaking, most presidents are, I presume, the typical American attitude of president, president in our country or in other name, because most presidents are not actually really positions of power. They are somewhat. They are often their head of state. They are the person who generally signs off on a bill, but they don't discuss bills, they don't introduce bills, anything like that. They are the ones who sign off. They're the final signature, and boom, now it's law. They are the people who meet with other heads of state. They are, in many cases, in areas where royalty have been pushed out of government. That's the position that royalty will take. They'll take the positions of head of state and, heads of state in waiting. I don't think that's good, obviously. I don't agree with royalty. No offense meant to all the royals out there, but I think your jobs are really, really dodgy having birth, basically, because I think it's good to have elections for people who are heads of state. Anyway, let's get to it.
Emotional.
I'm feeling a lot of
The
emotion.
problem with that, of course, is that is, in essence, a generalization. Like, if I'm a woman and I, watch you just drown to death, and I just have a blank look on my face and just I'm not smiling or anything. Is that emotional? I'm not being emotional. That's not a good thing, though. Not having emotions is not a good thing. You being there, you're like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not frozen or anything. I just don't care. Either way, I'm not happy or sad or just neutral. That person just drowned because you didn't help them, because you just didn't care. I mean, sure, you didn't celebrate. You didn't have joy in your heart. But that person died because of you. And I'd understand if you just froze, if you couldn't react. This happens to everyone. People see a tragic event and they can't do anything. They're just frozen. But you didn't freeze. You just didn't care. So in that scenario, and obviously there is the question of, well, from the outside point of view, how do you know when someone just doesn't care or just is frozen? There's that all there. People have made mistakes. They go, you didn't care. No, actually, they just froze. You ignorant person. So obviously there's that. But the point I'm making is being too emotional. What is too emotional? Your understanding of emotion is a bit flawed there.
you agree, step forward. Women have more privileges today than men.
So, if you agree with this, you are very stupid. Objectively. If you think, and I've discussed this before in the past, if you think that some people don't deserve to have privileges, they deserve to be put down. You're a racist, but sure, you are a racist. Let's be honest, but at least that's your belief. If you think they don't, if you think they're not pushed down, then you're just being stupid because you're not just justifying inequalities. These if you justify inequality, we can understand. You're a racist person, we get it. Okay, that's the society you want. But in this scenario, you're not just saying this society. You're saying this is a society we don't have. We do have that though. So this is the point here. You're not talking about opinion. You're actually talking about facts. And factually speaking, this is just a factually incorrect statement. And it does give a good insight to someone because this shows stupidity, not just being a moron.
I went back and forth on this one, thinking about the difference between more and different. I think women have distinctly different privileges than men have, but with this new feminist movement that is arising, more of the third, fourth wave, we are finding, I think, that women are placed and pedestalized above men.
You see, here's the thing though. If you imagine, for example, you're basically told, yeah, you did great work here, but we're gonna have to let you go. You're basically saying, okay, so you weren't fired because you're okay, but you are though, because why else? Why else were you put in that position? So sure, in words, in visual actions, but at the end of the day, if someone is pretending, they're pretending. If you're being put on a pedestal, yeah, sure, but if someone like for example, Hitler was not necessarily racist towards Jesse Owens, but guess what? Guess what? So when you're in this position, you're saying okay, but if the person's put on this pedestal, that does not mean that they're being treated better, that their actual endpoint is better. Then you get a privilege, like if you're told, oh yeah, just we can't actually be out there to support you, but we will visually support you in other ways, and we will give you support that way. Then that's just okay. Well, yeah, but that's not. Is that a good privilege to have? Just visually, you're placed in a peasant. Well, okay, but let's dig deeper into that.
In a lot of ways, there's affirmative action, hiring, and scholarships.
Yeah, mostly actually. That's down to combating sexism. You actually see a lot of affirmative action isn't even. It's just like okay, but if you say, let's say, 10% of the population are this particular thing. Say okay, well, let's ensure that we have around like 10, maybe even higher, maybe like 15% of this set of population. Okay, but that's not actually more privilege. That's just combating racism. Now, obviously, the only problem is that it will lead to basically people acting like, okay, so which of these people will we put in this position? And that's the point there. But like when we look at it, we actually go, okay, but women are about 50% of the population, so they should represent 50% of government. They should represent 50% of jobs. So in this case, you have to ask yourself, well, that's not affirmative action, is it really? Though that's required because of sexism in hiring. You have to say to that person who's hiring, you actually can't just not hire. Oh, because if you've got a team you're going to build of 4 people, how come only one of them is a woman? That seems suspicious. That seems very suspicious there. If you've got a team of 10 and 2 of them are women, why would that be? In this case here, it's the same with many things. Why exactly do you have less than the proportion of population in hiring? And that's what this is about. It's about reversing that racism. For one.
where women, sometimes even regardless of academic standing or achievement, are prioritized above men. But men also have different privileges that they get to access. I struggle to say more, but I think I do agree with the feminist movement now there is more.
If you are born into this life with a vagina, you inherently have 10 times more privilege than a man.
Okay. You are, and please don't take offense to this, a fucking idiot. Like, not you necessarily, maybe you are as well, but this one, you're actually a total idiot. Like, I'm really sorry, but you are a fucking idiot. Like, what the fuck? Like, seriously? Okay, let me guess. So there's the gender pay gap, there's the gender employment gap, there's gender promotion gap, there is more harassment, there is more abuse, there is, so yeah. Oh, but apparently you're 10 times more privileged. Wow, I mean, I don't know if you get the sample size. Maybe if you say like a gay trans man who's a person of color, maybe, who's living in, I don't know, the United States, but isn't seen as from there and is Muslim, maybe if you pick a specific man and go, yeah, okay, sure, in that case, but just men in general, just men as a whole, okay, that's certainly a statement. And then as well, just like picking, like, just saying, okay, but all women, so you're saying you inherently, as, okay, but that's not true though. Also, that would imply that, like, rich white cis women are, like, I don't know, like 50, 60, 100 times, because obviously they are way more privileged than a woman who does not have that. So you're instantly becoming very weird there. Like, that just makes no sense.
From the time they are little, girls are always like doted on, and you're so pretty and cute.
Very coddled.
They're coddled,
Yeah.
right? As they should be, they're,
Yeah.
Okay, where's this conversation going exactly? Like, yeah, you don't abuse the child. You don't call the child an ugly parasite. You don't call him that. It's just, I mean, you just get 10 times the amount of privilege. It's just. Okay, so you're basically saying that the child. Okay, that's interesting. That's You
Sure,
didn't
we want
realize that boys get that too, right? You didn't realize that boys get called cute as well, right? That you comprehend that. Also, not all kids have that.
that feminine, nurturing energy in them. You can kind of be
Wow, that's
a degenerate woman and have a hot body and be a millionaire on OnlyFans. Yes. Men don't have that privilege. Now, women.
Yeah, right. So you can be paid to, take men who have way too much money, or just are pretty pathetic, to take their money so that they can, do some creepy thing. Because, to be honest, when it comes to pornography, I think, for the perspective of the person who's seeking it out, it's kind of sad. No offense meant to you. It's kind of sad. If you're seeking out and that, like, that's not, like, if you're actually seeking specifically that out, it's kind of pathetic. No offense meant. Anyway, point I'm making is that basically that's not, like, what are you saying there? Like, yeah, I mean, you can have to sell your body online and get $1 million, or, men can't do that. They can just, use a higher paid job and a higher likelihood to becoming a manager to okay, yeah. I'm seeing why that might be nonsense. Yeah, I wonder why. See, that's the thing. you know when someone is like a CEO of a company, they actually have a lot more power because not only does that company wield power over like things like the government, but also over just the employees. It means that they have a lot more authority than just someone with wealth. Obviously, someone with a substantial amount of wealth, like a high level millionaire, or even a low level millionaire, and billionaires. Obviously, they are able to do that, simply by just having the money to spend. But if you're just a millionaire, just like you got like $1 million, okay, sure, yeah, people will be under your thumb, but like, there's certain restrictions. I mean, a lot easier for someone to kill you. For one.
Don't have to like work to get a guy. They're just hot. And then guys come to them and spend their resources.
And you don't think it happens with guys that are meeting the typical beauty standard?
On them. A man has to prove himself. He has to build a body. He has to make money.
What the fuck? Sorry, what? She's like, some women have just bodies that match the stereotype. And some men have it too, but they have to build it? Okay, what? Okay, that's,
Money. He has to build influence. He
No.
has to become a protector, a provider.
Not really. No. I
Women just have that.
Okay, so you do realize most of men that are in that are abusive, right? Like a lot of men who are in that typically are abusive. So yeah, they're a protector, a provider, where they restrict access for resources to you because you don't do as they say, and they abuse you. Like, okay, so they're not a protector and not really a provider at all. So that's bullshit then. So yeah, okay, we think, yeah, that's kind of nonsense there. Um, you know, just
Naturally. By
okay,
just
but just you've completely gone off. You've gone. Some women have the perfect body according to the subjective beauty standard we have, and then just gone. But no, all women. Yeah, definitely, because that's how that works. Famously, that's why no one has ever been being called any sort of a slur because of the way their body is or anything like that, because just that's always the way. It's just, yeah, just by, yeah, definitely. No, that's not true though, is it? That's not true. You're just kind of wrong there, and it really concerns me that you are that wrong.
having a vagina, as
Well,
I
that's why
said.
it's frustrating, because the feminist movement has been all about women acting like they don't have rights and acting like they have it
No, it's called
pretty
equal
hard
rights.
in
You
the
see,
modern day
you
world.
ignorant person. See, imagine, if you will, that you're not allowed to be physically murdered in the street because the person who physically murders you in the street will be punished. Okay, great. That's great. The problem, you see, is that we have a small little issue, and that's that it turns out, you know what? There are rights that you don't have. Sure. Also, the thing with being murdered in the street, technically speaking, is less likely to be investigated. But anyway, that's just a point. The point I'm making is, when you have this thing, you're like, oh, they just say they don't have rights. No, that's it. No, they're saying a lot less rights, and substantially less rights, and that's, let's be honest, it's a true fact. And if you don't think that's true, well then, why not just bring it into law? I just think, like, if you're someone who doesn't think that women have less rights, then just bring it into law. Just literally say that you can't, like, that you all women have the right to everything the man has right to, because that way there wouldn't be any issues, because you would, technically speaking, from this person's perspective, where like they've got 10 times, you'd actually be bringing them down to that would be equality. I wonder why that's not done. Maybe because turns out that might cause a few issues there, because
I can't think of a single thing that I don't have that a guy has.
okay, You are actually a fucking idiot, aren't you? Like, I can't think of a single thing. Um, well, I mean, if you're in a job, you are, you're in that position there, and if you're not, I think that might be the point, isn't it?
As or
That
you
they
know,
only
like
I would say the
yet
one
they
thing I
only
would
have.
say is the safety thing. That's the only thing that I
Oh,
would
at
say
least they
is
can
that
admit that.
women are disadvantaged from by nature. Women are not as physically strong. I mean, you're physically strong, but as physically strong.
I'll take it.
It's great biceps. And men just are. And
Well, we're talking about averages once again. Obviously some men are not as strong as some women, so also, I mean, the thing is though, is that I would say that when laws, like, if you the one thing I would say is weaponry. And America has a very strong history of weaponry, and in some sense, so does my country. Which is like, it's this sort of thing of like, well, if you've got a weapon, then technically speaking, your strength is somewhat reduced. But of course, the issue is when that person is strong, they can be strong by just having a weapon. So if it's, a man who has a gun but isn't physically strong, like, at all, it doesn't really matter because they have a gun. It doesn't, like, if you got strength, you're risking death if you wrestle them to the ground or anything, or try and take away the gun from them, because in that scenario, well, they could shoot you, and then that's an unfortunate situation where you might die from that. So basically, there's that issue there, which is, even when you have physical strength, there is the thing there. But of course, that's the thing where some people do carry weaponry with them, although that is illegal in many countries. Where if you have weaponry, then you can somewhat make them there. But of course, that army is also in reverse, which is someone who is not strong as attacking you. If they've got a weapon, well, there's the issue there, which is why most weaponry is banned. Just having public weaponry is banned. America, not so much, but
if you're walking down a dark alley as a woman, you're going to feel some type of way sometimes,
That's
right?
why we need guns.
Well, there you go.
See, that's the problem, though. You're being ignorant. As I've just explained to you, you might maybe go, okay, and that's why I dealt with that argument, which is, okay, you still have the guns. But then what happens when that, pathetic weakling of a man, now he has a gun? And he is allowed to display it publicly. So instead, or privately, in, like, publicly, in public, but tucked away. So now instead of now you can't just go, well, yeah, you're physically stronger than he is. Yeah, you shouldn't have a problem. You could probably break his neck fairly easily. But here's the issue. Now they can hold you at gunpoint. Like, how do you think a mugging works? Like, if you think about it, like, from perspective of a mugger's not. They're trying to use physical force as a mugger is fairly dangerous because with the exemption of like taking it physically from you, like physically threatening to beat you up as a mugger, it's somewhat dangerous because you don't know how someone could react to that, because they could literally be stronger than they look. But if you have a knife, if you've got a gun, from a person who's going to commit a crime, a person who's going to commit a horrible action on you, that's a much different situation. Because now, it doesn't matter how strong you are. If you go to lunge at them, if you start punching them, knife to the throat, knife to the chest, like that, you're now dead. A gun, now you're dead. So now you've now removed that element. So sure, yes, you can attack that person, but also, number one, you will be most likely convicted of murder if you kill them, because, well, you didn't need a gun, or manslaughter, who knows. But in America, maybe not. But in other countries, yes, you would. You'd be probably convicted of manslaughter, if you shoot them. But the whole flip side is that they can attack you as well. Anyway, that's a rambling point. I'm just making this,
I'm going to talk a little bit more about like the judicial system. When it comes to, let's say, domestic dispute, if a woman calls the police, they automatically show up, arrest the man.
That's funny. It's funny because that's fucking wrong. That's bullshit. It's sad, but it's bullshit. So, if you don't know, police are very unlikely to respond. Not very unlikely. They're fairly unlikely to respond to domestic disputes. This happens in America and outside America. Basically, police, and to be fair to the police, sometimes it's not to do with the police, it's to do with like the call centers. Don't necessarily take I'm just gonna call it seriously. They sometimes just don't turn up. Don't turn up, or just don't really do anything, you know. And this is an issue here, which is like the whole thing of like, oh, they just come. No, that's not true. If you try and call the police, maybe you'll be lucky. Maybe you'll be lucky, and they will come. Obviously, if you're in this situation, the whole danger behind it is that if you call the police, how the person reacts will be obviously if the police come, then doing anything is very stupid on behalf of the person because, well, you hit them and then there's a bruise. Well, the thing is, bruises need to go away after a while. But if the police are coming, well, then they'll see the bruise. Okay, well, you hit them then, you know, now they've evidence and all that. So it's not, but if you're obviously in the position of they don't come, then what do you think is going to happen? So there's that issue there, which first of all, the police are there. But I would still say, you know, you should still obviously call the police just in case, you know, because if they do, and they may come, but it's just, yeah, this is the thing that has happened a lot. Police forces just don't generally solve these disputes, like very small percentage of them. So it's just not really true. Even if they come and arrest the person, that oftentimes the person won't face any charges. So sure, that's great. So the person goes away and spends a few hours, maybe even less than an hour, and then they're out. So you have no time to escape. You've got no time to run away. Nah, you just can't do anything. And maybe you're even in the police station giving a statement, and they've already been released. That's sort of level. Like it's, you know, obviously not that, you know, what I mean, that sort of thing. Not you've given a statement, you're being processed. Yeah, that sort of thing. You know, it's just not really factually accurate. So the death model focuses on men who commit the crime of domestic violence on female victims. In theory, it's based on the understanding of male power control and dominance as culturally and historically pervasive, and which allowed, if not encouraged, men to control women, and sometimes using violence.
It's the Duluth model, I think is how you pronounced it. And that's already in place. It's not necessarily like a right or anything, but it's certainly in all of the police departments.
See, what's very sad about this is ignorance about actually how much work your police departments do. Fair to them, that's not really, that could be just basic ignorance. You know, a lot of people are ignorant about this. They think the police do a better job than they do. Most police officers in major Western nations, you know, looking at like, you know, major European nations, you know, places like England, places like America, they oftentimes do not have great policing when it comes to these sort of affairs. You can report it, they are crimes, and all that. It's not like they're not crimes, but police don't come oftentimes, and even when they do come, they're not processed, and they don't get sentences. So
Feminism is all about equality. Why would you automatically arrest a man? When they arrest him, his name is in the newspaper automatically. The fact that a woman can say...
That's factually incorrect, because you do have a right to, you know, anonymity. Now, obviously, you can kind of work it out, you know. If Gemma is seeing someone, and then they say her partner, you know, was arrested, like, yeah, you can work it out. Maybe even at that point they do name drop it. But the point is, when you say that, you're actually, in essence, like talking BS. Because if I accuse someone of a crime and they are arrested, yeah, that's how it works. That's how that works. If you're mugged and you say that that person did it, that person gets arrested. Guess that's how it works. There's an accusation placed. You're not, like, in this situation, you're not saying, oh, the person instantly arrested the man. No, you're saying that you trust the person. However, in some cases, the woman is arrested. Because in some cases, women are abusing men. Now, obviously, in some cases, they're both abusive. You know, obviously, if two people are fighting each other and they're both kind of equally, you know, like one person has smashed it on the nose and the other person, you know, has, you know, broken his teeth. Like, yeah. And it wasn't like a reaction to that person. It was literally the two are fighting. Those cases do happen. But in those cases, you would make the argument, well, both are actually responsible. Both have committed a crime there. Both have assaulted the other. And it's psychological assault as well. So people often ignore this. So there's like they see it as physical assault. Physical assault is actually, you know, it's relatively low because, well, you know, even if you don't think there's any damage, if you, you know, if you punch someone in the face, even if there's no physical damage, sometimes there's bone damage, and you can test that and go, well, the person was hit in the face, so maybe the bruise is gone, but there's all this sort of stuff here, which is evidence. So oftentimes it's psychological abuse. It's stuff like that. It's so it's not true to say that.
Jane Doe, and she doesn't have to put her name out there. What skin in the game is there?
And there's so many instances of that. I know men personally
What happens
who have
if people do get falsely accused, but people also get released when they're guilty.
had domestic violence within the relationship with children involved, unfortunately. And the woman attacked the man in front of the child, and he's still, I know 2 instances personally, and he's still fighting to get the child back. That's from the Me Too movement. Congratulations.
Now, what's funny about this is that this weird conservative ideology of, oh, the woman's not supposed to be in the home, keeping up the children and keeping the home. Yes, that's the way we should do things. But also being like, no, but we should have equality. The men should be allowed to take the children as well. Because that makes fucking sense. Yeah, both having typical gender roles and also having non-typical. So, do you believe then that women shouldn't be in typical? So you're saying then women should not be in typical gender roles? No, we don't have that because of Me Too. We have that because of typical gender roles. Because conservative ideology oftentimes has this idea of, oh, you're the home nurturer. So it's the idea of, well, if you're the home nurturer, well, why exactly would you have a situation which is like, oh, you are supposed to take care of the kids, but also no, you're not. What sense does that make? So someone who's trying to put forward this ideology is, if they don't want to look contradictory, it's gonna look a bit like, okay, well, why are you being like, okay, well, like, what's with this ideology of, oh, we have to take care of the children, but also, no, you don't do that. That's going to, be contradictory. So no,
You guys got that.
It kind of invalidates the women who do come forward and who have
Correct.
faced rape and sexual assault and all of that, because then it kind of turned into a Twitter hashtag.
That's correct.
Where women were like, oh, you know what, I want to join, like, this seems fun. Like,
For
it's
clout.
not.
Klaus. What the fuck?
It's
For
fine.
clout.
I think it's a mixed bag. I don't think the Me
Yeah.
Too movement was inherently harmful. It's the Me Too movement when you
Right.
couple it with something like believe all women. That's when it
Yes,
becomes
yeah.
an
And the
inherently
victim-
So what do you do then? What do you do? Also, they were originally talking about domestic violence. Now they're talking about like workplace violence, basically, because where that comes from is workplace sexual harassment, that sort of thing. And last time I checked, that's still happening. Wow! Looks like that all women are not believed, / people in positions of power, so people don't come forward. This is the problem with having an ideology which is like, I don't like the way the world is with all these people having rights, except wait, no, they don't. They don't have equal rights, so actually it turns out, no, you're just wrong. So, it's just problematic to say, oh yes, this is what happens now. Yeah, because definitely, yeah, every single woman who has ever reported sexual harassment or has ever been sexual harassed has always been, because that's actually not true. So that's the problem. Ultimately, you're saying one thing which is not factually accurate, and it's understandable to have certain issues. As I said before, when you talk about the police force, that's fair. A lot of people have confidence in the police force, and it's a yeah, sure, you want to have confidence in the police force. I understand that. Okay, I'm not complaining you on that one. When you start saying this, that's not true. Women are not believed. Women, like, there are still many cases of sexual assault, and they don't go punished. They go unpunished. In some cases, they go more, even when they're reported, they may even get a promotion, because it is sometimes this thing of like, I don't want to deal with this, so let's push him off. Don't really like you, but I'm not firing you, so push up. And that happens as well, which is very weird.
Victimization
It
of women who
encouraged people.
aren't really victims.
The prompt is, do women have more privileges. We have privileges simply by virtue of being women. We have privileges with affirmative.
Yeah, but see, you're wrong with affirmative action. That is anti-sexism in this case, which is like, you're saying, okay, but you cannot be a sexist, is what you're saying. Which is, I would say, yeah, you shouldn't be a sexist, but you're basically saying you don't want that, which is, well, no, you're not saying you don't want that, but you're saying that is a privilege. That's not a privilege. That's simply working against sexism.
Action. We have privileges in family court, and we have privileges as far as being believed and forgiven. It's a
Believed. Once again, though,
that's something that should be
that's
acknowledged.
not quite true. I would say that some people, and you might make the argument of the system will believe you more, but also you can make the argument of yes, but it might be more likely to believe you, but where will that go? If I call the phone and I say, "Oh, I was attacked or I'm being abused psychologically by my partner," does anyone come out? Does anyone solve that problem? See, technically speaking, no one comes out. I wasn't not believed. No one came out. No one actually heard the story. No one actually checked. That just goes as a case law. Call came in. No one said there, "Oh, I don't believe you." Or no one felt, "I don't believe you." What happened? Look at file. So when you file something, someone's just like, "Yeah, no, we're not doing that." Not that you're not believed. In some cases, you have people going, "Oh, look at him again." Oh, For example, this happened a while back. There was a Tory whip. The Tory whip in England was, a sexual abuser. He had a history. They didn't just think, "Oh, no, he's been accused, but he isn't guilty." No, they knew he was guilty. And they believed the victims. But nothing happened. So just because you're believed does not mean something happens out of it. Because you still have that position. Now, the point was that when that came out, though, people went, wait, so that he's an abuser, you admit that, you say that, and you can say in private, you make jokes about it, but you still gave him a position of authority. So then he was removed as the whip. But that's the point. That's a position there where, you're being believed. But nothing happens. They get promoted. They get given a higher level of power. So that's the point there. In that scenario, why exactly? What is that? Is that, you being believed? No, but what's happening there? Nothing's happening. So.
That's correct.
Can I have the disagreeer step forward?
I appreciated the distinction of more versus different privileges. You can't just use a broad brush and paint the entire debate and say, all right, well, men have more than women, that's it. Like, women that must inherently then have no privileges.
No, what are you even talking about? It's just like, yeah, guys, 7 is more than 5, so 5 must be 0. No, actually, that's not how things work. More does not equal the other thing being 0. Who the fuck says that? No, I mean, like, that would break computer programs, it would break most mathematics, this doesn't function as a thing. So no, I don't really get the whole thing there. No, obviously, if you say, no, these people have more privileges, you're not saying these people have none. That would be insane.
That's not how it works. And that's where we start to get into the idea of intersection.
Well, what do you mean by privilege? Is it a privilege if everyone is the same? No, technically it's not. Then you go the argument with 0. Then you're not saying it's more privileges. You're just saying they have privileges over people. That's the thing. What's your definition of a privilege? Is a privilege not just you are in a better position than somebody else? So then you could make the argument there of, well, you've got none. But then the way you say more privileges, well, that's the point though. By essence, you're saying more. But if you say different, well, yeah, but how, if you say, oh, we've got these privileges, and then you've got these privileges, but you've got more privileges. Boom. So you're not making an argument there.
Where another woman who had a different experience, if it was a trans woman, if it was a woman of color, if it was
But
a
I
woman
don't
who
think we're
was
including trans women into feminism.
Okay, so you're a fucking idiot then. Because you're just a fascist then. Okay.
and I
That's
think
a
we
whole
definitely
other-
should.
I don't
Like,
think we should.
I don't think
Oh, I don't think we should. Do you know? Well, the problem is you're not actually a feminist, so I don't think you should fucking talk for one. I mean, TERFs are stupid, but like, at least they actually are feminists. Well, say they are at least. I mean, they seem to align themselves with certain people who are very much not. But you know what I mean? At least they claim to be feminists. You're not even claiming to be a feminist. So she's like, yeah, I don't think we should have put them in there. It's like, yeah, but also, I mean, at least a TERF is saying they're a feminist. So, but you're just not. So, it's like, I don't know, what would that be? Trans exclusionary turned? I don't know. TENF. Trans exclusionary non-feminist. Or anti. So
I think that trans women.
okay, so it's just gonna play an ad. Well, okay, there we are.
I think that trans women should not be a part of the feminist movement because a man, just because they.
Jesus, my God. So it's like, yeah, so it's a TEAF.
Wake up and feel like they can be a woman one day, could come in and then suddenly.
One day, yeah, maybe. Don't be such a fucking moron. For one, fuck you. Like, fuck you. It's just like, yeah, I don't think that, I think, women have more privileges than men, but also, you're not. Okay, but you're ignorant, though. You're like a stupid person. Like, actually, no, not ignorant. You are just stupid. Because let's be honest. You're an American who is in this video, so clearly has access to, technology, so clearly has access to education. It's not like, you're being educated by a Nazi and you just don't realize. No. You have access, so you're just fucking stupid. You're just stupid. Sorry, like some people are ignorant, but you're just stupid. Sorry to this one here, but like seriously, how fucking stupid are you? Now, I'll say this. If you're gonna say you're an anti-feminist, then maybe don't start deciding who you think is a woman.
Know what it's like to have a period or know what it's like to have a child. It's
Okay,
anything.
but some people don't know what it's like to have a child, because they haven't had a fucking child. Some people, even have had children but haven't gone through, the usual birthing process. People have had surrogacy. People have, in which case where they've had their eggs and they've had sperm of a partner, but they haven't actually given birth themselves, or maybe they have given birth, but all these things are like, okay, but there are all these avenues, and this is of course the issue with a lot of trans folks, where they find it very difficult to actually say, oh, you're not a woman because it is right now, because a bunch of women haven't had that who aren't trans women, so that doesn't really work, does it? Yeah, look at that. So like, yeah, some women have not had a period. It's relatively rare, but some cis women have not had periods in their lives. Like most children. The majority, I would say, over 99% of children under the age of 10 have not had a period. Wow. Okay. But like that sort of thing there, okay. But so in this scenario, like, well, like, also the thing I've had a child is just seriously disturbing. It's like, yeah, you haven't had a child, so apparently, wait, what? You do know men can have children. You're aware of that, right? You're aware that men. So are you saying that so someone who's saying I'm a man, you're saying no, that you're a woman because you've had a child. Okay, that's interesting. So
From men replacing women in sports to men replacing women on podcasts during Women's Month, and when we're talking about
what? It's just like, yeah, guys. Today we're going to be talking about baseball. Unfortunately, Gemma can't be with us in this episode because she had an issue with her car, so she had to. So Jimmy's here on the podcast today. Apparently, that's like oh my God Almighty.
women's health, or you've even got biological men who think they're women going to the White House speaking on behalf.
Okay, but see, the thing is though, first of all, you are aware that someone can study anatomy and biology about biology that isn't necessarily matching theirs, right? Like, you comprehend that. Like, imagine you walk into a hospital and the doctor is not like matching your exact body in every single way, which is very likely to be true. Like if you're having a heart attack, that doctor has not had a heart attack. Their heart is not in the same condition as yours is. You wouldn't just say, no, you haven't had a fucking heart attack. So you can't talk about people's health when they have had heart attacks. Yes, but see, I'm a medical professional who studied heart attacks. Now, of course, you might be like, well, maybe you didn't study that thing. Maybe you didn't have a great, medical, test, and didn't have a great medical education, as some people, like, for example, some countries don't have, and then some countries do have a much better one. Like, if you have, for example, Cuba is very known for having very good nurses and doctors. So if you have someone from Cuba, like it is, they probably had a much better education than other people. So obviously, their ability to maybe being able to retain that information is, of course, dependent on the person. But what I'm trying to say is, you wouldn't say to a doctor, "Oh, you don't know about me because you aren't me." So yeah, that's the point. They've studied that sort of medicine. Anyway, that just deals with that thing there. So anyway, I don't know what this one is talking about now.
Half of all women.
I do have a question for you based on the prompt, though, because you've lived in both experiences, at least socially. I'm curious, when you transitioned to male and people started perceiving you as male, like most people did today, what privileges changed for you, or what did you see enter your life that you didn't have before?
Yeah, and that's sort of where a lot of my beliefs in feminism do lie, is because being out into the world as a gay woman was the way I was seen. Men treated me definitely not nearly as well as they did. I was bullied in school. I had people call me slurs, and it seemed like it was because I was threatening to like the male structure that we are in, where it's like male and female. Because I was a female who liked females, I was somehow infringing on that, and so they didn't like me. Things change naturally when you socially transition and are perceived by the world in a different way. When I transitioned from being perceived as female to the world to just pretty much passing or blending full-time as male, was that I got a lot more respect from other men. People listened to me and took me seriously in a social passing setting.
I mean, I would say, if you were verbally supporting women's rights, that might not be lasting so long. But anyway, yeah.
People aren't going to harass women who are around me if I'm walking with them at night, which is just a benefit I never thought about.
The caveat, actually, so I say that, yes, there are some privileges that women have that men don't, but also there's privileges that men have that women don't. I don't think women are more privileged in our society, because I could get a woman pregnant and I could just run away.
They could get you
Well, they
for
can get
child
you for
support.
child support, which they
But are you
do.
saying she can't run
You
away?
could go to jail.
No, actually. No. The thing is, first of all, there is a thing of just not leaving your name or giving a fake name to someone. Where will you go with that? where we go, and you can have the defense of, well, I didn't know. You know, if you just leave the person, you don't give them any information. You know.
Are you
Yeah,
saying
they could
she
take
can't
your
run away
money.
from the pregnancy?
But you
yeah.
could
But
actually
yes,
physically leave.
Leave.
I
I
know
could
what you're
physically
saying.
leave. At the end of the day, like, I don't see women having more privileges than men because we don't have the same. There's no way to objectively measure it.
Well, and in the scenario that you pointed out, I mean, if a woman was pregnant, she wouldn't be able to get an abortion in most
In some
parts
states,
of the country.
yes.
Yeah.
In some states,
That's
no.
That's a
absolutely
major
true as well.
disadvantage.
Yeah.
You can't get an abortion, but children can go get a gender change at 12 with a
Feels
parent
like you're
at
very
15
fixated on that.
without consent.
That's
It
not
feels- it
true.
feels like you're
I-
very
From
fixated.
whom? From whom? Like, without consent. From the random transphobe down the street. You know? Melissa didn't give that child permission. She didn't give permission, and Melissa knows because, because Melissa would know because because she's an adult, so there, yeah, she'd know about a different person's body because, yeah, definitely. Okay, so without permitted sex, from whom? From whom?
No,
I
Validity.
know the laws as well. Have been
I
studied.
went through this.
I know, in some states you can, and in Thailand you can go at 16 and get your everything cut off.
Guys, it's less than 5.
I know.
Everything cut off. Every.
Percent.
I
It
know.
It's such a
doesn't
small.
matter.
It's such a small
doesn't
subset
matter.
of the
Let's
But
be
you
population.
fair.
can't. But you can't say that about. It does matter though. When you have a child, you're not a
That's
parent
between
yet.
the parent and the child.
Can I ask you?
The thing is, you're not the fucking child, you ignorant person. You're not the child. So unless you suddenly become a child, you know, a young child, then you really can't talk about it. In that case, you also can't talk about other children because guess what? You're the person. That's the thing. That's the thing, you see. You're that person. So guess what? You can make that decision about yourself, but fuck off when it comes to everyone else. Because guess what? You can't make that decision. I mean, maybe you might be able if you, like, possess them physically. Like, you literally just possess their body and their mind and had access to every single thing about them. But even then, you would have to ask this question of, well, are you bringing your own bias there? And my point is basically, that's obviously a kind of a joke, but it's not really. The point what I'm trying to make is that in that scenario, why are you making that decision for somebody else?
Question though, or ask the group a question. There's more world leaders who are male, and typically I think
Good.
leadership.
That's a good thing.
I know it's
Well, he
weird
was
coming
talking
from
to
me,
me.
but I do want to know. It doesn't bum you out that it's less likely for a woman to become president?
I don't feel bummed out because I know that if I want to pursue something that I want to do, I have every capability to do it in this country.
You're an ignorant woman. Sorry, but you are an ignorant person overall. You're just an ignorant person, and that's unfortunate that you're just a stupid person. But really, that's just the fact. Let's face facts now. Let's just face facts. You're kind of just a stupid person. If you think that in the United States of America you've got equal rights towards someone, that is objectively bullshit. Okay? If you're a white, straight, cis man who is Christian, Protestant, shall we say, or not, maybe you think that religion isn't a big thing in the United States. Fine. Okay, so maybe you're a Christian or Protestant, or maybe you're just an atheist or agnostic. And you are seen as from America, and all this. What are you missing? If you're missing wealth, you're disadvantaged in America. So even though you match everything else, not having wealth will affect you. Okay, so that's my point. You are not, obviously, being a woman is not the only thing in America that would disadvantage you, obviously. But here's the thing. Wealth is a main thing as well. So no, you fucking moron. There is something which will disadvantage you. Wealth. Do you have access to money? Because if you the majority of presidents, right? You do realize the majority of presidents were coming from wealthy families. Because not only is it hard to get in the political world if you don't have wealth, but also simply the fact of like just running a campaign, doing all that, you generally need to have wealth. Now, some people you might make out, maybe they build up their wealth. Maybe they are able to get wealthy. But at the end of the day, if you don't have that wealth, what will you do?
I don't feel bummed out. Women should not be in positions of extreme leadership like presidents, et cetera, because we're too emotional.
First of all, I would make the argument of like even so I already made this point here, which is emotions are not a bad thing. Saying too emotional is a dodgy statement. If someone just looks on as their country brutally murders millions of people and just doesn't care, they're a war criminal. They ordered millions of people to be killed. They're a war criminal. That's what they did there. Now, the thing is, if you do that, in America, you're probably fine. Other countries, your country might be invaded. You might, get sanctioned. So having that non-emotion is not a good thing. Is that, if you were to cry at that or be angry by that, that's too emotional. Oh, is it? But what do you mean by too emotional at the end of the day? Also, this side thing, you do realize there are some women who are not emotional, right? They're like at all. Like you can comprehend that, right? Are you that stupid? Do you actually think that every single woman has more emotions than every single man? Are you seriously telling me that you're that stupid? That you actually are that fucking stupid? Do you think that every man has less emotions than every single woman? Are you actually that stupid? Because if you are, I feel highly concerned.
Men
I'm
are
feeling a lot of
emotional, too.
emotions
Men
right
can be
now.
impulsive.
Very
I'm
much.
not saying that men can't be emotional.
Like we had a
Men are
president.
more
We had a president
logical.
who would literally just
And now
go
we
on
have a
Twitter
president whose
every
brain
day,
doesn't
every
work.
second.
Wait, one person so she can hear us.
To be logical and to be sound is not something defined by gender. It's just something defined by your own psychology.
The left and right brain, it
That's just
actually
false.
is though.
That's
It's
just
not
false.
false. It's not
Come on,
false.
man.
It
Come
is
on.
not
Really?
false.
Really?
No, your question about leadership, I think, is a very poignant question because a lot of people are asking that. Why don't we see more female presidents? Why don't we see more female CEOs?
Well, because they're discriminated against. Okay, so how are you gonna be president? Okay, so if maybe you go for an independent. Okay, so now to become an independent, you have to be wealthy. Yeah, have to run a campaign. Okay, so women on average have less of an income, so they can't donate to your campaign, or you, if you're a man or a woman, a man is more likely to have more money in the campaign than just direct money. So in that position there, you have to say, okay, so maybe you're not independent, maybe you're in the parties. Okay, so the parties are dominated by mostly men. They're also dominated by mostly, kind of conservative men in both parties. So basically, how are you going to get elected to that position? So, for example, the vice president of America currently, as at time of recording, is a woman. That's good, right? But do you think the Democratic Party would be willing to put a woman forward as presidential leader, as their main candidate? Would you think they'd be willing to do that? Do you think Republicans would? Maybe. But do you think they'd win? Maybe one day. Maybe in this next election. Maybe Trump will not be the candidate. Maybe Ronnie will not be the candidate. Maybe all these people maybe it'll be the Republican candidate. Or the Democrats might replace Joe with a woman candidate, right? That's currently Joe Biden is the president. Okay, just to clarify when I'm recording this. So that's the case. Okay. But will they win? Because the way I see it, America's a very sexist country. So the only situation I see where they'd win is if both were. Which would be an interesting thing. Just force the American public to have a first female president. I feel like that would be an intelligent strategy. because the Republicans can defend themselves from sexism and the Democrats by just saying, well, are you going to choose the other woman? Now, obviously, that's not great. Is it like, yeah, first female president was, well, it was because there was no real way for them not to be elected, to be honest. So yeah, that's our society has really moved forward. What my point is, discrimination.
Those are Fortune 500 companies. And again, it goes back to those gender differences. There will be women who will be exceptions to the generalized rule of what it means to be feminine, and those women you will see succeed in extreme leadership. But we should also discuss what
Yeah, but the thing is, there's also men who don't conform to the typical male gender roles. So, most actually.
the conditions of extreme leadership are. We're talking 80-hour work weeks, subscribing yourself to your career and nothing
Actually,
else.
we're not.
And
Children.
psychologically,
So for managers of Fortune 500 companies, you're talking no. For managers of Fortune 500 companies, you're mostly talking about, mostly bullshit work. The kind of manager, because at this point you have so many people below you doing work that realistically, what work is left to you? You've got people to manage teams. You've got people to manage those managers. You've got people to manage those managers. In essence, the issue is that yes, if you're working in a low manager, even a high manager, even very high in the company, yeah, you most likely will have high work weeks. But like, if you're a CEO, how much of that is traveling? How much of that is communication with people? How much of that is, all these things which are not too worky, if you know what I mean. They're a lot more, you're going, oh, that's part of your job, yes, but,
and biologically, women tend to lean in the direction of not making those choices for themselves, while men are highly
not making those choices. It's like, yeah, I mean, do you want to work with this company? Yeah, I'd love to. Yes, no, you're not working with this company. Okay, so yeah, looks like you're not going to get the job then.
competitive, they are highly analytical, systematic, they're
Not true.
willing to put in that time and take extreme measures to
Analytical, that's not true.
gain career status.
Exactly.
But in an
Perfectly
egalitarian
said.
society, it's about having that choice to make that decision. And
Yes,
that's what feminism
But we
is about.
do,
It's
but
about
we already
having-
have that choice.
We
If,
do have
if
that
I want to
choice.
go
But
own
it's
my own
being-
company,
You don't. Okay, so if you own your own company, you're going to have to deal with suppliers most likely. Maybe you're lucky, you have a lot of money to burn, and you can go direct. You can get the raw materials direct from the ground, or direct from, if it's service industry, direct from people, and you can do that. Maybe you can make all the materials you use, all those things. Maybe if you're lucky, but if not, you have to deal with suppliers. If you're not selling direct to the consumer, you have to deal with sellers. So these people are involved in your business. So then they need to be on your side. If you're starting a business, you will most likely have leverage, so you won't be able to just go to a supplier. Well, we'll pull out. Or just go, oh, will you pull out? Oh no, no, fuck off. If Apple decides to pull out of a company, they're able to put extreme pressure, so they're able to get what they want. Okay, but if your titchy little startup is going to do this, you're not going to get anything of that. No. Now, this is the point. So if you have that there, you might say, okay, you have your own company. But if you don't, well, then you have to get approval from people above you. So that's not true. For both, it doesn't work. The only circumstance that this would be true is if you had billions to burn, and if you get involved in a new industry, because that way you can be the supplier, you can be the direct seller, everything. But even then, you have to
I can't.
regulate.
like I said in the beginning, we've all agreed that the beginning of feminism was going in the right
Humanizing
direction.
women,
It
right?
was humanizing women. It was making them equal to men. It was giving us the same opportunities so that we can go vote.
But no, you were literally you just like maybe this was recorded afterwards, but you've literally said, maybe Jubilee just messed up the recording, but like you've said in this video at least, you go on a woman because you haven't given birth like to a child. Like that is so backward. So backward.
So that I can go get a job, so that I can drive a car, Like,
She can
there's
run for
other
president if she
countries
wants.
that I know that we weren't talking about other countries, but if you want to talk about feminism, go protect the women who get beat up for driving a car.
So your argument is it's worse in other places, so it's fine here. Right. Okay. So in England, the way England is a very racist, very sexist country. So in like 1940s and 30s England, it was not a good place. It was an awful place. But guess what? It wasn't Germany. It was still pretty fucking bad though. They still committed genocides. They still killed loads of people. But, well, they weren't the Nazis. But also, yes, but like, still pretty bad though. If you were to say, okay, British Empire from the period of 1930s to from the mid-1930s to early 1940s, that period, British Empire or Nazi Empire kind of style thing, which is better? Okay, I guess English, but if you extend that out, yeah, no, definitely the English Empire is far worse than the Nazis. So that's the point. Obviously, you can make the argument, well, that's only because the Nazis were somewhat stopped before they could do the full plan. So, okay, that's fair. But, my point is that inherently, when you look at this, okay, but the thing is you're missing is that you can't just go, oh, it's worse in other places, it's fine here. No, that's not an argument.
Thank
in
you.
other countries.
Okay, this is weird. It's a weird statement to have. Okay.
Men are falling behind in society.
Okay, that's certainly a statement. What the fuck?
I just think, we have amazing men here today. It's an honor
thank
to
you.
be on this
You
panel
barely
with
know me.
you.
Wait, seriously, they agreed with that.
To see this masculine
As
energy.
men.
However, I know that
Like, okay.
men are not able to be men anymore because of
So,
the feminists, modern feminist propaganda. I coach men in my practice and they tell me, like, I don't even know what I can do on a date anymore. Can I ask a woman out? Am I gonna get
oh
in
my
trouble
God,
for this now?
that's concerning. If you're a man, you're like, I don't know what. Yeah, before, I was doing a lot. Yeah, if you feel like the thing you're doing could be bad, maybe don't do it. Maybe just don't do that. If you think it could be bad, just a thought. That's just a thought for you there.
Like, I really like her. I kind of want to put my hand around her waist, but maybe that's gonna,
Yeah, I can see why that might be. You're just like, well, yeah, no, don't do that without consent.
I'm gonna be all over social media, this kind of thing. And I think men don't have the balls anymore to just.
My God, that's certainly a statement. Yeah, no, you should ask consent before you just put your hands around someone. Obviously.
Just stand up and be a man, be dangerous.
Fucking Christ! Oh my God, almighty! It's like, be a dangerous creature. That's what you should definitely be. No, don't actually do that. Don't fucking do that. Like, yeah, be. You do know that's illegal, right? It's like, yeah, no, actually, I don't think you should do that because that's there are many things in this world that are perfectly illegal but shouldn't be. That is illegal. It's called sexual assault. Wow.
Fierce.
I want to respond to a lot of what you
Respond,
said.
please.
Does anybody else want?
You make a really interesting point. However, I feel like a lot of the reasons why men can't actively express masculinity in a positive way is because of the patriarchal structures that we have. Part of where I'm coming from with this is I'm trans. So I was born female. Now I present as male. I came out socially and medically transitioned at 18.
Okay.
The feminist movement is what helped me feel empowered enough to be who I am and
Okay.
be a man.
And no disrespect to your process. I know it's a very strenuous thing that you go through, but I see a woman still. I feel feminine.
Sorry, I want to ask this person. Do you think you'd make a good, one of those psychics who just full on just defraud people? That's the kind of vibes I'm getting off of you. It's like, I feel a name, an M name, because I already did my prior research. Like, fuck off. That is bullshit. Like,
I feel a feminine energy coming from you. That's what I feel. Definitely. That's not biased transphobia. Definitely. Yeah. No, I'm sure I felt it before I knew that you were trans. Definitely. That. It's just a gift I have. I'm just able to tell you.
like, my God almighty. Like, seriously, what are you even saying?
Feminine energy from you.
That's all right. I
And
totally
so when you
respect
say
that.
you're a man, then it's like, I don't see that.
The way I think about it is
Jesus, my God almighty. Oh, God almighty. Like, that's literally bullshit.
more like about individual choice and individual
Like, at
freedom.
least if you're a
And I-
transphobe, we get it. Like, you're a transphobe. But, like, that's like not just, oh, I don't think that's true. You're literally just inventing
An energy about you. That's what it is now. I'm able to tell because of an energy.
right. But that doesn't exist. And I think even most transphobes wouldn't go, no, there's an energy about him. Definitely. Just no. It isn't any. No, it's specifically just an energy. You can just feel it in the air. Yeah. I remember. You just able. Some people don't have the gift, but apparently this one, she has the gift of just having the energy. Right. That does feel like a psychic though. Just talking BS.
I want to say that I have feminine
sorry,
energy.
I should say
and
some of them do believe it. Some psychics do believe what they say, and it is unfortunate when they do, because it is sad. Some of them do believe it, but some don't. They actually are just conning people.
people view me as masculine or vice
And like,
versa,
what I'm saying is they're conning people and they realize it.
then that's their problem. That's not my problem. And for me, that's what.
Wait, sorry, what did you say?
Then that's their problem. That's not my problem. And for me, that's what feminism is about. Is about giving people the choice to act in accordance with however the hell they want to.
But that's a
not
very
how
dangerous
feminism
society.
started. That's
to
not how
say.
feminism started, though. Yeah, we went from, wanting equal rights for women and equality for women, and now it's...
No, it was equal rights, and then some women were like, and specifically for just women because they were racist. But other women like, no, equal rights for everyone. But the point you're missing though is that even if you think, oh, it's moved on to other things, but we haven't got equal rights though. That's the thing. There aren't equal rights yet. So as far as I can tell, the job's not done yet. Whether you think that feminism is about additional stuff more than equal rights, you haven't achieved that. So we should admit that at first. You haven't achieved equal rights.
Humanizing women, right?
Humanizing women,
Yes.
making it to where I think we all agree, women now are equal to men, and with like
See? Talking about
third and fourth wave feminism, especially fourth wave feminism, it's kind of turned into individuality, like you said.
It doesn't take a man to tell me how to be a man. It doesn't take a woman either. I can define myself as a man. As a man, how I want to. I don't need somebody like Andrew Tate to be like, you're not a man unless you do this. I also don't need a woman to come up and be like, you're not a real man if you don't do this. And it's the same with femininity. I'm not going to tell you how to be a woman. I don't think another woman should tell you how to be a woman either.
So what would you tell kids?
Yeah, like you have a daughter. Do
Yeah.
you really want to be guided by the ambiguous, define yourself as however you want to define yourself. And for her mind to be molded and shaped by men who, no disrespect, women who turn themselves into men and then
Jesus,
turn
my
themselves back
God,
and say, men who, no disrespect, women who turn themselves into men and then turn themselves back and say there's a lot of dissatisfaction when the root of the problem wasn't the gender, it was everything else.
There's actually
slow down,
very,
though. I
very
feel
low
like
Yeah,
I
that's
looked
rates
at
of
the percentages.
detransitioning, but
I
that's
looked at
neither here nor
percentages.
there.
That's also a minority of the population.
feels like you're bundling a lot of ideas, which makes it hard to respond. But
Well,
I
because there's so much data to support
can you
these.
repeat what's the main question?
Do you
me to
want your
answer?
daughter's mind to be formed and shaped by
I mean, like, trans people make up of a very small percentage of the population, and also detransitioners make up a very, very, very small percentage of the trans community. So really, detransitioners are like 0. It's very, very small.
by a society that tells her it's okay to be masculine and to be a man, and that she
Totally.
doesn't need a man, and that it's better off for her to be alone and put her career first and not have children.
I think it's more like
It's not better off. It's you can have the choice, because what you're doing is you're saying
You're not a woman unless you've had a child, apparently.
no, you haven't said that. To be fair, this fucking moron here hasn't said that. It was this one. But still, point still stands. When you have that kind of shit there, like, you're not saying, oh, no, I don't. You're not saying, oh, you can be. You're saying literally, no, you are not a woman unless you've had a kid. Like, that's. To be fair to her, though, maybe she's just a bit confused and a bit stupid. Didn't mean to say it like that, because it does sound super weird. Like, okay, but like,
likely than not that she'll probably follow a more conventional path. If my daughter grows up and she wants to dress like a boy, like, great. If she, for whatever reason, is experiencing gender dysphoria, like, we would navigate that together. But that, to me, it doesn't scare me. And I would all the more want to live in a world that...
I feel like that's sad, because
Why,
it's
though?
because my son, I encourage him. I say, you are to be, and I really don't care the backlash. You're supposed to be attracted to women.
okay, that you're gonna turn your son into a rapist if you do that.
I
Isn't that
tell
a lot
him,
of pressure?
and I tell no, and
If you do that sort of thing, like.
I ask him,
But what
who
if
are
he's not?
because life for transgender individuals, and my son's African American.
You are aware that if your son is attracted to men, that doesn't make him transgender. That just wouldn't make him like heterosexual. Can you comprehend that? Like, if he isn't just attracted to women. I guess technically speaking, you said, oh, you must be. So that's, you could make the argument of, well, is it okay for your child then to be bisexual? Because technically they're attracted to women as well. They're just also attracted to men. My point is that that would not make your son transgender. Or, well, it would be your
as
daughter.
well, is very freaking hard. I don't know if
Yeah,
we can swear. I'm sorry.
You can.
It's very hard. Do you know this?
To be fair, I'm not sure. I think Jubilee would be the ones who be like, no. I think that what they're trying to say is, can I swear in this video before they get bleeped? But no, what I'm saying, also fricking is not. I don't think that's a swear. But anyway, point I'm making. Although, I think, did they ask afterwards? So maybe they want to say. So, point is, I don't think the argument was, oh. Like, if you were like, oh, being, Muslim is very hard in the United States, which it is, it can be very hard. Or, it wouldn't make sense to be like, oh, then don't be that way. But if you have faith, if you align with the teachings of Islam, then you are a Muslim then, though. If you align with all the teachings. So wouldn't you be just denying your own faith because of how tough it is? Like, obviously you will face discrimination maybe for that, but that's not an argument for not being that way. That's an argument for removing the discrimination. Obviously you shouldn't be discriminated against people for being Muslim, but you might be in America, at least. Other countries,
To be true.
Asking people or putting pressure on your son or putting pressure on my daughter to not...
I just tell him.
Okay, but to
that is pressure though.
not be their true self, if that's truly how they feel,
that's
it
not
feels
their
like
true
that
self.
would
No,
be.
it's they're
That's
not their true
that's
self.
this like
Thank you.
that's this way. It's
Thank you.
society has influenced everybody to
correct.
be
We are
like,
so off
you know,
problem.
So when you
Yes.
say I can identify, I can be whatever I want. If I want to say,
Imagine, if you will, your son. Okay, I don't know what the fuck they're saying here. Imagine your son is attracted to a man. What do they do? What does your child do in that scenario? Because apparently, I mean, like, what do they do? Because that can happen. Like, how do you expect that not to happen? Like, even, let's say you're to say, oh, I don't want my child to be a pedophile. Maybe they will be attracted to children. That's not a good thing. They probably shouldn't be. But guess what? They are. Now, obviously, if they act on that, yeah, they will go to prison for it if they're caught. But the point is, you saying, oh, don't be this way, is not going to do anything. You know? You telling, no, be this way. Don't murder someone. Okay, maybe don't murder someone. Sure. Maybe they won't be. But if someone has a particular thing, that's not going to just suddenly not happen because you said don't do that. Now, don't do that. Maybe they won't act on it. Maybe their thoughts of you saying, don't be this way, will mean they will never act on their desires. Even if the person is willing. And obviously in the case of children, no, it doesn't matter if they're willing, because that doesn't, obviously you can't give consent to your child. But if the person is gay, and the other person is consenting, maybe they won't act on it, you know? They'll be closeted. Okay. So they won't act on it, maybe, from what you're saying. But they'll still be attracted, though, to that person. So sure, you might get them to not act, but that doesn't mean they're not attracted to men.
say, I'm Beyonce today. I can now just be Beyonce.
But do you
right?
actually believe that?
I do.
Okay.
First of all, yeah, there is thing you do actually think you're Beyonce. And the next thing, no, what is the concept of Beyonce? Beyonce is a name. So are you saying that you want to change your name to Beyonce? Or are you saying you want to be the person who was born in, whenever Beyonce was born, who has this, like, what are you saying by saying that? So Beyonce is a person, not a category, not a identity. You know, like it's like a specific person. Like if Beyonce was born and decided to call themselves Melissa, suddenly now Beyonce, no longer they're Melissa. That's a different path, different way. You know, so that's a bad example. What I'm trying to say is, it's, you know,
kind of feel like I don't think you
Can we
believe
talk
it.
about
You
the prompt?
genuinely
Yeah,
believe it.
let's roll back.
The prompt's about
here's
men
the
falling
other, Here's the
behind.
other thing. Men are falling behind. Is it because of feminism, or is there socioeconomic factors that we're not looking at?
Well, how do we
Because,
define
well, no.
falling behind?
Let's
Yeah,
look,
what do you see as falling behind?
What's falling behind? So people in America, not just men, everybody is getting poor. This has
Yeah.
nothing to do with
Well, that's
feminism.
not
Well, we're not
true.
getting
No,
poor.
That's a
this-
mental
technically,
state.
No, 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 no.
I would say, technically speaking, men as a whole are not necessarily getting poorer, because, you know, the richest people in the world are men, you know, so presumably they're getting a good enough portion of their wealth from women and men. So you might make the argument maybe men are getting poor because women as a whole may be getting more. But the thing is, if you're just saying the general population is getting poorer, that's true, both men and women.
I mean, it's
That's
not
a
true.
mentality.
this is economic data. We are
I'm not
falling
getting
behind.
Well,
our
you can
standard.
blame your president
And-
for that.
Okay,
And
back
the other
to the
thing
prompt.
is, what do you define as
No,
masculine?
you can blame billionaires and millionaires because they're the ones taking the money, you fucking moron. When you see a billionaire increase their wealth by 100 billion, 50 billion, 20 billion, that's 20 billion that isn't in the pockets of the people.
It could be subjective
Tell
from
us,
culture to culture.
what do you define
I
masculinity
think masculinity is whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be this objective
How-
thing where it's like, oh, you're masculine, you're
How
not.
is
Like,
it, can it,
so it could be different from our society to another society. And actually, in some countries, like men who don't provide for their families or are not the sole provider are not seen
but
as
are we
masculine.
talking about other countries, or are we talking about the U.S.
But even
right
here,
now?
actually, even here, there are people who will say that's
Very funny about the
demasculating for.
US is like it's a country that's made up of mostly people who, like, the oldest US boys are descended from mass murderers. You know, people who kill the Native Americans, many of them. So the Native Americans are really the only ones who can say, well, no, we were here for far longer than you are. You know? So when you're there talking about the US, well, yeah, but like the US has changed significantly, you know. So, you know, when you have this argument, it's like, well, yeah, but you're not, you're there, but like it's very, very interesting the way the US is painted. Like it's, I mean, only a couple hundred years ago, yeah, it was not like that, you know. You didn't have Nazis like that, you know.
For a man to make less money than his wife.
I appreciate everything everyone's saying. I do want to talk about the prompt. When I heard the prompt, and I heard that, you know, I thought about men falling behind. I thought more like mental health, like suicide is more common
we're
with
gonna
men.
go here.
No,
Love
but it's
this one.
true. Like men
But it's such a
commit suicide
and
at
it's not
higher
a cop
rates.
out. Like, I'm not saying mental health isn't an issue. That it is an issue, and obviously a lot of men are experiencing a lot of pressure.
Have you heard like the term death of despair?
Men are committing suicide more. Men are
Right.
dying from alcohol-related illnesses more, and they're also dying from drug abuse and drug overdose more.
Correct.
And that's an increasing trend in society.
Yeah.
And then you
That's
see
true.
educational
It is
gaps.
To
No,
be
there
fair,
is
though,
no
if you want to get a population hooked on opioids to suck money out of them, you'll need to, you know, kill a few eggs. What I'm trying to say is, you know, corporations that want to make money out of, you know, people who are addicted to painkillers and people who are addicted to all this will want to have a lot of addicted people so they can make a lot of money. You know, you have Purdue, the Sacklers, made a good ton of money out of that. Why do you think those people died? Because they wanted to have money. Technically speaking, some drugs do not need to be addictive. Why are they addictive? Why is the thing addictive? It makes no sense for you. But wait, this is by design. Why are Pringles addictive? Where all these things, where do they have addictive substances in them? They are not a necessary flavor. They're not a necessary ingredient. Yeah, because they're there to increase sales. Because if you get people addicted, well, you know.
Deny that like young men are abandoning colleges at a rapid
Yeah, it's a
rate.
lot of pressure to be a man.
They're also
Like,
far
they're-
lonelier than women are
Yep.
right now.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
not
women
so
are the
regular.
least
Hold on,
happy.
can I finish my point? Sorry.
There's only two main ones.
I'm like, don't let me lose my train of thought. They're abandoning colleges. Women make up, they enroll in college at a 60% rate. Women are earning more than men nowadays, right?
Not factually true, but anyway.
So,
I
Yeah,
don't agree
well,
with
no, that
not
is true.
hold on.
statistically.
We can get to the wage gap.
it's about enrollment. So are they having other jobs? Yeah, probably. But I'm saying like men are not going to these institutions. Why?
When you're saying lack of enrollment, there's more entrepreneurials in the entrepreneurial space than ever before in history. So I believe a lot of
And a lot more of them fail.
people are opting out of college, as we had, to pursue their venture. So that
Yeah, but no, a lot more small businesses fail. Because if back in the day, you set up a small business, and it would generally fall into one of three categories: failure, success, or kind of success. So success would be you build a business and you have a business. Kind of success would be, you know, you get bought out or you get merged in. That's what you sell your business, or you have an agreement that you sell off, right? And you sell out and you retire, basically. Now, obviously, when you say retire, that does not necessarily mean you retire permanently. It does not mean that you get millions and you retire. It just means that your business didn't technically fail. You just retired. Business is now, you no longer work for the business. Now, in many cases, you still have to go off and you still have to find another job. But, you know, the business hadn't failed, but you have retired from running it, right? So that's the situation there. So, But now there's more and more cases of just businesses being crushed. Because when you look at it, like if Amazon decides to enter a market, that business in that industry will most likely get crushed. Maybe if they're lucky, they'll build up a core fan base. They'll build up a core people that will buy from them. Maybe they'll have a position, but most likely they'll get crushed. Maybe they'll just straight up get cut off by suppliers. Prices will increase for them. Prices will increase for the competition, or the competition may use predatory pricing to drop their prices. All these sort of things, and they can all crush businesses. So yeah, businesses get crushed more and more these days.
Could be part of the reason why the enrollment has declined.
Can I just go back to a point that you said really quick?
Yeah,
where
go
you
ahead.
talked about
Yeah.
like the mental health of men and how
Me?
the
Yeah.
stigmatization of men addressing their mental health.
Yeah.
What system are we in that
Sure.
makes it so that men have this big stigma around our mental health where we can't
Yeah.
talk about it and the suicide rate goes
So
up?
I'll
We
tell-
are in a patriarchal system.
No,
Hold on,
that's
let me
that
tell you.
Because, yeah.
is
Let me
those-
tell you,
Those
so
are
the
those are the
way-
bounds we are within currently.
There's a lot
That's
of
toxic
Can I have
masculinity.
Mason complete his point? I'll encourage you to let the other person finish the point, and then, of course, you can take it forward, but let them talk.
Just
Same
real quick,
thing.
the systemic structures we are in
Yes.
are patriarchy. That is what has caused men to have this massive stigma around mental health,
Sure.
where we don't feel empowered to reach out. Men tend to not go to therapy. That leads to suicide, that leads to all of these big things. That's not caused by feminism. That was happening well before the
So,
feminist
hold
movement
on,
came into these
let
new
him
waves.
finish. There's a lot of psychiatrists, psychologists, and economists, professors.
Okay,
all the-
sorry, what? Like, yeah, people see with the mind and economists.
these people coming out saying that the actual psychology department is feminized. I know. It's,
So, economists are saying that? Did I mishear this, or like?
and economists.
So,
Came into these new
Let him
waves.
finish. There's a lot of psychiatrists, psychologists, and economists, professors.
economic. Okay, yeah, no. So,
All these people coming out saying that the actual psychology department is feminized.
yeah, all those economists, they know so much about okay, I mean, kind of, I guess, somewhat, but like.
I know.
No,
it's,
I'm processing what you're saying.
The
It's
psychology
weird, but the
department?
way that everything's processed is for
So, to read this out, between 1995 and 2015, the number of women within the academic psychological workforce more than doubled, an increase of 126%, and their representation increased from 37% to 53%. So about average, about like the same.
women. So women and men process information differently. Men are
Typically.
like this in their brain. Women are, it's all over. And like, what the hell does that mean?
Well, it's
It
left brain,
means
right
that-
brain.
No, that's just false though. You can't just categorize. Well, I mean, So you just, well, that's generally speaking, yeah.
When you
I wish it was
process
that
like
simple.
men need to solve the problem
Correct.
before they can process the emotion.
Women are
Women
emotional.
react
My
on
wing
emotion.
woman.
Okay, that's funny because like there was so much bullshit in that because it's just like you do realize that like for example on the spectrum like it's just like no, your brain is just more feminine because this woman thinks that that's how brains work. Okay, yes, I get the thing of thinking that men and women's brains are different. Okay, maybe, but in that way. No, not in that way. No,
Yeah,
actually,
that's it.
But
it's
so
not
women have not a tendency, they do better with talk therapy. That doesn't always work for men. Men do better when they are kind of working with a coach or somebody that's going to be like, this is what you have to do, and then come
Like
back
massive
see how you
action
did.
steps.
That's why men
Okay, so this is what you have to do. You have to plan on to murder your boss. So your boss is being kind of abusive towards you. So what you need to do is you need to come up to them and say, boss, we've got this new sachet. I've got this new sachet, and then they take the sachet and then you mix it into their drink, and then Basically, you have to murder your boss. Okay, so that's step one. Okay, no, I'm kind of seeing how that might be an issue there. Actually, you can't do that because that would be illegal. So that step is gone. Okay, we'll have to do something else then. How would we do?
Towards work. That's why men
He
need.
had a thought though. Can we let
Yeah.
him finish his
So,
thought?
the same problems with the military, a lot of the suicide rate, even though there is therapy services, they're actually actively discouraged. And it's because of this masculine energy in the military, because it is still.
To be fair though, if you're in the military, you do have a lot of pressure in your mind because you have murdered multiple people. You know, okay, you just murdered multiple people.
Well, even to this,
Like, you know, sometimes directly, you've killed them, and sometimes indirectly. But like, yeah,
a very ultra masculine institution, and there's these negative energies saying like, hey, no, you
I
shouldn't.
would say
like,
not everyone in the military is technically murdered.
that's what these
Murdered
do.
people.
But that's
But-
toxic
Well, it's
masculinity.
interesting
Yes,
Well, actually,
but
That's not patriarchy.
it comes from a
There's a
place of
difference.
no, it comes from a place where it's like, oh, that's not what men do. Just suck it up and push on, and that's why a lot of these guys end up killing themselves.
But what branch were you in? Can I ask?
I was in the army. I
Okay.
was,
So you're an athlete, correct? And
Yes.
in the military, what is in the military that makes everything work within the military? It's a structure, right?
yes, it's a structure.
It's a system, right? Who runs the military? Who is at the very top of the command?
Technically, it's the president of the country.
the commander in chief, the
Correct.
president of the United States. A couple hundred
But
years.
but I'm making a point here. So there's one person at the very top. Even if you take the commander in chief away,
Pyramids.
there's your general, right? Then there's lieutenant general. There's corporal, and I forget the.
There's multiple people though who are like. Yeah.
Don't hate me. There's all those privates, etc. There's a system. One person is at the top of that system, and he has supporting members
My God, for fuck's
underneath
sake.
him, all the way down to private. And that's what
Like, yeah, I mean, okay, generally they're a man. Yeah, that is part of it.
patriarchy was quote patriarchy was designed. It's a system of one person taking a leadership
Not necessarily one main
position, and they
majority.
make decisions for the greater good, utilitarianism of all, meaning the family unit.
Really-
That's not
No.
really
That's-
what
That-
patriarchy
and actually,
means.
that's
It
that's
is.
a
I
very-
looked
that's-
up the definition,
That's actually a very.
It's like, yeah, I looked it up on definitions.com, and it said that. So it must be true because fascist definitions. You want to look like? I mean, I can tell you what the definition of being Jew. Oh, okay, no, don't do that.
I literally looked it up yesterday.
No, you're good.
I got
I really
lost.
need the male feminists also to respond because I feel like they've spoken 20%. Once they're done with their thought, feel free to interrupt, but let them finish a sentence.
Okay, I want to talk. I'm going to talk. I mean, I do think men are falling behind. I feel like the world is just changing in a way where men don't have like a natural place to fit in, or it's not
What?
as
Like
intuitive
as men or what?
as it used to be. And I think men are alone. I heard you throw out the word loneliness, and that does feel true. I just don't think that feminism did that. I just think like the world is changing.
What you said really resonated with me when we define falling behind. What I think about with men is that high suicide rate, that likeliness and proclivity towards violence and aggression. I think about loneliness and not being in relationships with which young men are struggling with a lot right now. And where I feel
I mean, you do realize that, you know, some people's reaction to that is forced relationships, which is really weird and really creepy in the extreme. I hope you wouldn't agree with that, because if you do, whew, that's, whew, certainly something.
finding common ground, and feminism does get right in a sense, is that we should expand our horizons as far as how we view masculinity. Men should be able to cry, they should be able to be vulnerable, and that's something that we need to access. But also, these men who are feeling disillusioned with the world right now, they are seeking out male figures. We've seen, you know, the rise of the Jordan Petersons or some of the
Remember, Jordan Peterson is a very weird guy. Like, very weird guy. I like, like, yeah, your typical male figure who cries about religion and is just kind of ignorant just about a lot of stuff.
personalities at the Daily Wire or the End.
Yeah, you know, the fascist outlet. Like, literally, you're talking about, It's very weird to go like, yeah, they're sticking out male figures like, fascists and misogynists and stupid people who lost their medical license because they were being stupid. Those people. I mean, I think the only person that's now you can make the argument of is like maybe Andrew Tate, because he's like, oh no, you get authority in this. But like the fascists are like, no, they're not giving you authority. They may say they're giving you authority, but they're giving you authority over women, maybe. But you're still underneath the rich people.
Andrew Tate, they are seeking out somebody who's telling them, I want you to access those masculine traits and harness them in a way. I would say Jordan Peterson's probably a more healthy role model for men than, say, an Andrew Tate.
Yeah, but Andrew Tate is a fucking idiot. Like, he's brain dead, And also, Andrew Tate is, and fuck it, I'm just gonna say it. He's a sex trafficker. So, like, if you want to have that fella in your room listening to him, well, I mean, I'd say call the alarm bells. That's the person you like.
But men are going towards these more aggressive, masculinized traits and seeking out men that are trying to harness that for them.
Yeah.
I thought you made a really great.
One thing I would say is, and she's also a scam artist, so he's starting to, give him money basically. So then when they say is like, well, is that really a male figure, or is that like giving you any situation, telling you what you want to hear, and then saying, oh, join my club, pay money?
Great point that I totally agree with, where men are looking for these role models of how to embody masculinity because we are falling behind and a lot of people don't know how to act. What's really important, and what I've seen, at least in my experience, like feminism bring up, is the idea of like Justin Baldoni doing his talk about being man enough for your woman, being man enough to be emotional, being man enough to support children. That's the type of manliness and masculinity I think needs to be embodied so that men can catch up and feel like there's a place for them. That's something that we need to focus on, is making sure that people know how to embody masculinity in a way that's going to be beneficial for everyone.
Women.
Oh, sorry. I'll do this now. Okay, so.
Women should also be drafted into the military.
So my take on this is I don't really agree with the military as a concept. I don't think America has a very large military to begin with. Now you make me argue that we're reaching a point that we really, really have aggressors in this world. Before we didn't really have aggressors. But the United States has a history of just like targeting specific people who are not actually a threat. Who are just, considered enemies. And the problem with that is that breeds enemies. See, if I'm just there minding my own business, and then you enter my country, you attack me, I become an enemy. Before I wasn't. Before I was just like, I don't really like them, but But now I am an enemy. Now I will fight against you. Now I will wage a war against you. Because now you've attacked me. I'm not necessarily saying America deserves every single attack on itself, but close. I'm just saying that inherently America cannot talk with the military in this sense, because it's not defending itself. So yeah, there's that. So I would say inherently no, but I don't think men should be drafted into the military either. But do I think that men should be, in a case where you are going to draft into the military, men should be drafted into women? No, I think women should be drafted in the same sense as men should be. I think both are not good. Neither's good.
Let's do it.
If you're gonna vote, you might as well be drafted, baby. That's it.
Yeah, I believe rights come with responsibility.
Okay. So what are your responsibilities? I'm not going to attack him now. Okay, so I'm going to attack him. So when you go into Yemen, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, all these countries, what are you doing? when you see 9/11, what do you think? See, the problem is you don't have those responsibilities. You don't have the responsibility to just attack another nation. Because why are you attacking that nation? Is it okay for, the United States to threaten military action to force government to do as they say? Is it okay to do all that? Is that a fine thing to do? Do you agree to every single thing that America's ever done? Because that was your responsibilities if you joined the military. So no. I, to be honest, would be sitting out on this one, but I would be, wanting to say why.
Responsibilities, and we are all responsible individuals. Granted, I'm glad we live in a society where we haven't had the draft since, I think, Vietnam. Vietnam, I think Vietnam.
50 years ago.
I do think that
That fight against another nation's democratic choice. I'm just saying that inherently the American military has had a bad history when it comes to its use in other nations. Some countries just have a military that is just defensive. They've never used it. They've never actually sent it in anywhere. Now, the concerning thing is, well, why do you fund the military that much? But at least they are not the United States. At least they're not saying, oh, we have this military and you're going to use it,
maybe we should relook at the draft and as other options, not just military service. So I was in the active duty military, and I was also in the National Guard, and I've fought wildfires, and I've done crowd control. I've done a lot of other things. If you want the
See, the thing is, though, you don't need the military for that. First of all, your police forces are incredibly militarized in America, so you may make the argument, oh, what's the difference between the police force and the military? You're like, the weapons they carry seem to be pretty similar. And in multiple countries, the weapons they carry are pretty similar. Military is inherently a thing which you should be very careful using. Because it can be seen as a very, very useful tool for the government. Not only for other nations, but also your own nation. To keep it in check. And even some fascists will agree with you there. Obviously, they want the government.
Same rights, you have to have the same responsibilities, and I think that's just universal based on what you can do and your abilities.
This was a very difficult one for me to parse through because I remember when I was getting my birth certificate changed, and it was like, all right, time to register for selective service, and I was like, oh God, I have to make this decision now to register.
You don't have a choice.
I know. So I was like, all right, cool. I will go through with finishing all this legal stuff up and register. And I think, like you said, there's lots of other responsibilities that men and women of different abilities and different strengths.
So when you get blown to bits because your country decided to enter a war that it did not need to enter, it wasn't being attacked. No one else was being attacked. It wanted to gather resources so that, businesses could make a bank. Is that a good sacrifice? You died so that this company could cut its costs. Oh, yay! Oh, that's incredible, man. Yeah. Your sacrifices duly noted. Woo!
Could fulfill within selective service if we needed it.
Drafted, correct me if I'm wrong, would be going into war, would be physically going and doing
Not
the actual combat.
A lot of the draftees in Vietnam didn't go see combat. They did supportive roles.
Okay.
It's selective service, so you register to be potentially needed to call for multiple different responsibilities.
But some of them are going.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Some
So,
of them, there was some bad cases.
the part
actually.
that I would disagree with would be putting women on the front lines. We are physically capable to do a lot. There's different boundaries
No, my
for
point is, women are definitely physically capable of lifting a gun and murdering a bunch of people. Definitely. My argument is, they shouldn't. Neither should men. If they're not being attacked, that is. And even then, you went there.
women
Well, why are
who
you
go
being
into the
attacked?
military who have to do boot camp than there are for men. We can work women as hard as they can, but they're not going to work as hard as men are.
I actually got accepted into the Air Force, which would have been like very nice because I would have had a little desk job. But unfortunately, I was waiting for a job, so I went into Army. So I went through boot camp, and it was hell, and it really messed my back up even more than it already was. Our rationale skills and our logical thinking is not conducive to be able to be on the front grounds.
And do you think men's rationality is? You know how many men have murdered people? Like, I consider it murder to murder someone who hasn't attacked you, but I mean literally. Like, let's say you go in and you're tasked with taking out I don't know, some group that is actually attacking. Let's say, you're in Ukraine. If you're a Ukrainian soldier and you just murder a child a Ukrainian child, like you just murder that child. There's no reason for that. That child wasn't fighting you. If you kill a Russian, well, that they were attacking you. Now, of course, they were attacking you. They attacked you because they were told to. So, but this needs must, right? But if you start attacking civilians, there's an issue there. And men do that a lot. So clearly, they have trouble keeping order. Men rape civilians and capture people a lot. Army officers do a lot of that. They get away with it. They get punished. Just rampant. That's the thing. That happens. And we know about that. And yet, hasn't been addressed. So the question, when I look at that, I say, well, why has that not been addressed? Well, look at this. So why? Why, in what scenario? So you're saying, well, women, yeah, but men aren't either. Clearly.
Be able to make, oh my gosh, if I step here, this is going to blow up. Can I, we just think too emotionally. And that's why when
men can't do that either. Clearly.
we talked about leadership, it's the same thing. Being in those positions where split-second decision could make or break, I don't think women have it in them to do that.
So the thing is, most people can't. And if they can, what do you mean by decisions? It's a landmine. You don't know what a fucking landmine is. You don't.
I don't think it's fair to men to be, if I was a man, I wouldn't want to be next to a woman and want to be carried out if my life was depending on it.
I think it seems like a lot of the same discussions keep happening with these prompts, which is back and forth of how much is it nature, how much is it nurture, how much are there intrinsic biological differences between men and women, and how much does that dictate our behavior and our physiology, our biology, versus how much of that is through social learning. So how much it's our culture in terms of, let's say
programming
on a scale of 1 to 10, how high is your sex drive?
Very high. I'm a sex
I'm
coach.
not asking you
I
personally.
thought you were. I'm a sex.
So I wasn't asking you.
Sorry.
If you ask everyone that,
Yeah.
You'll see on average differences between men and women. And because of that, I don't think we should dictate whether or not someone is drafted into the military. Because ultimately, I think individuals should have the freedom to make certain choices.
It's a draft, though.
Sure.
And
Yes.
they can go in if they want.
That's the fucking point. My God.
That's the
draft
military.
and what you're saying, you don't think people should be treated differently because there can
Exactly.
be metrics
It's
that fall outside
differential
of the data.
treatment. That's
Of
what I'm
course,
getting
yeah.
at.
So there is differential treatment, but I would say that it's completely reasonable to do that because not only are we focusing on the differential.
So, on average, if you look at statistics, people of color would be in prison more likely than not people who aren't of color. But why is that? Well, we actually know what that is. We know that on average, if you are a white person, you're less likely to be convicted, and you're less if you are convicted, you're more likely to serve a shorter term. So in that case, you're going to have a problem when you then stake information. It's the same thing when you look at AI, for example. When you look at AI is actually can be very racist because it's taking in human input, and the problem with America specifically with human input is a very racist thing. And I mean, literally, if I'm not a racist person, but I'm gathering information from, prisons, even if I personally go to every single prisoner and I check that information, the information is not false, but the information is made up of racist actions that cause that to be the case. You know? If you deprive people of money, guess what? I think, yeah, if you can't afford to eat and there's food available, steal it. Because it's not like if there's a food shortage, if there's a famine, that's a different scenario. Then you're actually letting someone else starve because you stole the food. But when there is food, there's food enough on this planet to feed 10 billion people. There is food enough to go and be thrown out, okay? There is no need for food waste, really. There's no need for someone to starve. Now, you might be the argument of someone in a country where they don't have food. Obviously, then you're going to have to transport the food there. But in a country like America, there is no reason for you to starve in the middle of a city. But you may starve if you don't steal it. If you steal it and you get convicted and you get sent to prison, well, okay, but that was because you were in that economic position. So my point is, in that scenario, you do have to go, well, yes, but you are more likely to be a criminal in that scenario. Is that what we're saying? No. Because that information is actually incorrect. So you shouldn't be treated differently because of that. Because that information is ultimately wrong. You know. So just making that point.
Treatment, but we're focusing on outcome. So if I'm expecting somebody to go into combat, which is the reason I didn't walk forward, you should also expect that person on an individual basis to be able to meet the exact same standard as every other man that they are going to be fighting with.
So the
Now,
military has made it
true. That's not true. If you're a genocidal maniac and you will kill anyone, you might be incredibly good at killing the enemy. But guess what you also be good at? You'll also be good at committing war crimes. You know, you'll also be very good at, shooting at things that aren't the enemy. Because you're hypersensitive. And as long as you've got enough ammo, as long as you've enough protection there, well, guess what? You'll be fine. But here's the thing. Someone who's a little bit more careful, they're going to kill less people. Sure. But they're also going to kill less civilians. They're going to use up less ammo. So, which is better? The person with more accuracy, or the person who kills more people in general? Kills more than the enemy being, a term which is used to, you stigmatize the whole murdering of people. So there's that, So no, obviously that's bullshit. Not every single person is the same when it comes to the military.
Change on that, by the way.
Yes,
they
they
have a
have.
new individual test that's based on what jobs you can do. If you're doing more combat roles, yes, you have to be stronger, tougher, and there are women meeting those standards. That's why things
I
are
agree.
changing. And like I said, I'm not for the draft at all, really. I think it's
Agreed.
a really bad thing. But if
Yeah.
it was to happen, like it should be across all boards. Everybody gets treated equal.
If I could choose the possibility of women being drafted or not, I would choose that they're not. Well, I don't want my daughter to be drafted.
I think if you draft, at least account for the differences, please.
Female sex workers should be more respected.
Yeah.
No one really understands.
Katie.
Okay. Hello?
I don't know a ton about this topic, but I do think I subscribe to the idea that legitimizing sex work reduces the safety risks associated with that profession. I think it's also, there's tools out there like OnlyFans that I think has put a lot of the power in the hands of the creators. It's also
Sorry. So I'll just stress this. Some countries do the model of, basically, destigmatizing it, but also I do feel it is somewhat concerning for someone to be a client. Because the client does feel like, in some cases, I do feel at least it should be very, very well regulated, because there is many issues there. Like, some people will basically use it to get around, like, for example, in certain, like, countries it's used to, it is an argument which I guess you could use to say if you're a potential rapist, why not just? If there are people out there who are willing to let you do things if you pay them, to just pay them. But of course, there's the issue there, which is, well, if you have societal pressures, pushing, like for example, if you need to get a job, what jobs are available? If it's a job you don't like working in there. Let's say you're a vegan, but the only job available for you is, in the slaughterhouse. So you can get a job in the slaughterhouse, and you can, have your job there, and boom. Yeah. We don't really agree with the slaughterhouse. We don't really like the slaughterhouse. So in that scenario, it's like that. You work for a pharmaceutical company, but you really don't like the fact that the pharmaceutical company is focused on, drugs that aren't essential. Or if you work for a tobacco company, but you really don't agree with that's the sort of thing. You do have to be concerned with certain jobs. Well, if economic factors are pushing you into those jobs, does it become an issue? Does it then become basically rape? Because that person was pushed into that job. There's issues.
Reduces the safety risks associated with
Yeah.
that profession. It's a very old profession. It's been around for a while.
Very.
It's going to continue to be around.
I don't, I think it's also, there's tools out there like OnlyFans that I think has put a lot of the power in the hands of the creators.
A lot of people don't realize, like, nobody, like, actively chooses to be in sex work. You're usually going to sex work because of social situations.
Some people do, but yeah.
And if it's a black market, most people ask why I joined the military. It's like, because I was poor. Like, there was no other fucking reason.
I mean, no, some people are actually just psychopaths. Like, who want to kill people. Who join the military because, like, to be honest, like, you do have to be concerned. And this is the issue with a lot of time with the military, which is, what kind of people does the military attract? So in a country like America, you have like, economic pressures, which is like, okay, that person doesn't actually want to do this job. They'll do it well, but they don't want to do it. So you can be fair, okay, that person is not a psychopathic person. But if your job is to murder people, like, let's say you're an executioner, does it not feel a little bit concerning? Why did you go for that job? Because if it wasn't because of societal pressures, then that's concerning. Because the job is to murder people. So you want to do the job of murdering people. And maybe if you're an executioner, you think of it as, oh, these are bad people. But if you're in the military, that's not necessarily true. Because even if a country is, like, really, like, let's say Russia. Russia is obviously a horrible country. Their leadership is horrible. But that Russian soldier choose to be there. Because that Russian soldier was there. When you're murdering the Russian soldier, now obviously you can make the argument, well, yeah, but like they're the barrier. So yeah. But the argument could be made. If your argument is not, oh, I want to defend my land, but your argument is to join to kill that person, not to defend yourself, not defend your land, not because you need to, not because of any of this, but because you want to do that. That's when it becomes concerning. Because there's many reasons to join the military. In a country that's being attacked, yeah, obviously, many people would join the military to protect themselves and protect the country. But if the reason for joining is because you want to do the job, like want to do it, then that's concerning. However, sex work is a slightly different thing, because then that's, less concerning. So that's the thing I would say there.
And I'm not saying it would get rid of exploitation, but if women have legal protections, like if I was a prostitute and I could go up to a cop and say, hey, I got beat up and my money stolen, not being worried about being arrested, like I would be more likely to report crimes and get the people who are causing problems.
Yeah, and then for the people who just want to do it and want to just like own their sexuality, own their body, and use it as a commodity, a way to make money, they should be able to do that in a way that is safe, in a way that they own all of the videos, all of the content that they make, and in a way that is equitable for them.
When it comes to respect, there's two definitions. Respect either can mean like politeness, like you wouldn't shut the door on somebody that's like walking behind you, like be respectful. The other respect is usually if you do something that in the workplace that garners approval, you've completed a goal. So when we talk about respect when it comes to sex workers. Should we be polite to them? Probably. That would be a human thing to do. I don't have to, but yeah, I prefer
There are no legal requirements to say, good day. Also, I mean, some cultures just don't have that sort of thing. Like some cultures don't have a thank you system. It's like, why are you thanking me? You didn't really do anything, incredible. So why would I thank you? And that makes somewhat sense. So yeah, I don't think that would make much sense to force people to be polite in that way. But yeah, I mean,
OnlyFans over
Yeah.
the traditional porn industry.
Yeah, because you own it, and then
Yeah,
it's
women
a lot
got
more
But the
fair.
argument is, though, when you have a platform, like this is this is YouTube. So sure, Jubilee own the rights to this video. Now the problem, of course, is are these people not the main content of the video? Like sure, someone had to record it, someone had to edit it, someone had to set up the cameras and contact these people and bring them together. Sure, but they are the main focus of the content. So these people don't own the content, and that's part of the issue of, dual or multi-person content, which is, well, who owns the content? Now, businesses generally do. So Jubilee owns its content, but the thing is, it's on YouTube. YouTube can technically, decide to. YouTube gets to keep up 45% of the ads. Okay, but Jubilee has other sources of income, right? This is partially the issue. So when you look at it, you go, okay, sure, you own it, but do you really own it? Because when you have a platform, that's a different story. Now you're looking at kind of a bigger issue, though. Just gonna look at a bigger issue.
Sex trafficking.
But that agency is important to
I
know
think
that it's
so,
what
yeah.
you own, and to have that respect put onto you, that like this is your content you're putting out into the world.
Yeah, now it's their copyrighted material. Before, when it was the old porn industry, they didn't have rights to those videos, and that's a huge thing. Like if I want to take my stuff down, you have to go to
Yeah, I mean, there's still a pretty big process, though.
a court with a copyright case, and it just
That's what happened with Mia Khalifa.
Mhm.
That was her
Yeah.
whole thing, and luckily now she has a very successful career doing like sports commentating and stuff. But unfortunately that's not the rule. That's the exception, where she's been able to be
it's
successful.
a role model.
Right off the bat, you said Mia Khalifa went from being a porn star to being a sports commentator.
Oh no, not right off the bat. Anyway,
That is something that we should be directing women towards. It shouldn't be, okay, well, she's going to go do an OnlyFans, or she's going to be in 50 porn videos to get paid. When we're encouraging women to go out of their way to sell their bodies on the internet because that's a means to an end, we're not doing that the right way, and I don't think the feminist movement should be moving in the direction of normalizing sex work, when we should be encouraging women to value themselves, value their body.
see, this is the thing, though. Like, sex work was traditionally done by, like, slaves. Now, both male and female slaves, so, there was that. There was the small progressive thing of like, oh, there wasn't sexism in this sex work industry. Somewhat, I'm saying like back in the day, like thousands of years ago. But there was mostly done by slaves. So you were a slave. You were owned by the brothel, and like that's just a fact. Like that was your job. But because you were a slave, you can make the argument, well, isn't that what you're doing then? Is it not arguable that you are somewhat in that position, though? Like, how can you say that you're not in that position, that you are saying, well, it's existed for thousands of years? Yes, but like for a good enough portion of the early period, it was slave work. So that does somewhat make you think, well, sure, it wasn't like stigmatized, but it was still slave work. It was still seen as the work a slave would do. Now, obviously, you know, it wasn't seen as bad work or anything, but it was seen as like, you know, it didn't have people necessarily choosing to do it. You know.
Value their talent and take that elsewhere.
There's a lot of things in place, though, for women. Like, yeah, there's obviously a need if they're in maybe a lower economic class or something, but at the end of the day, that's more of like a morality topic, you know? And so you can't really force that on everybody. I agree with you.
Right. The other thing would
I
be
mean,
is
it
that
is a sort of like,
women
and
are
I'm
not.
gonna sound like a you know, like a little right wing person here, but the market, you know, when you have the market, supply and demand. If demand is there, you have to be somewhat concerned because the demand is a slightly creepier thing. Because the demand is made up of interesting characters, to not call them something not nice. You know, demand is made up of concerning enough people. Now, even if they don't do anything wrong, even if they obey all the laws, obey all the rules, you know, obey additional, you know, morality rules, then they're still in a way basically in this position of if everyone is happy, well, first of all, if everyone is happy, that's the debatable thing. Like, well, you can be made happy because, you know, psychological pressure. But anyway, the point I'm making is that will you seek someone out for that service? They are somewhat concerning. You know.
Not happy when they're doing this. It's not empowering as a
Some
woman.
are.
You can go on Twitter and see these women who are in their 30s with an OnlyFans link in their bio, but with no kids, no husband, no specific thing to actually
Okay,
care
so
about.
the
It's all about
fascist apparently
materialistic things. These are
back
the same
here.
women.
So here's the thing, though. Some actually do have a husband, or you know, a wife, and have kids. So you're basically just saying, and some don't have a husband and don't have kids. Yes, and others do. So, yeah, I mean, like, so what? Also, I don't think you should necessarily. No issue should be they don't have a husband and kids. Yes, I mean, are they happy with the husband and kids? You know, are they happy with that? Did you think about that a bit? You know, maybe they don't want to have a husband and kids, so they're fulfilled then. Making them have a husband and kids is not actually a good way around this. You know, don't push
Women
your.
that you're seeing tweeting about how sad they are. They're
Seems
tweeting
very
about
generalized, though.
It's not generalized. It's the majority of those women. They are on antidepressants.
I'd like to speak because I've
Yeah.
actually been in the industry. So
Yeah,
I was trafficked for a decade.
Sorry, apologies. But I would say, don't assume it's not a generalization because of your research, if you know what I mean. Like, your research should not be what you'd call a generalization. You should say, well, from everyone I've talked to. But even then, your argument should be, well, have you suck out? Have you sunk out like people who are that way? Because if that's the case, then yeah, that you're gonna have a bias there. Anyway, to return to.
Decade. You hit
sorry
the
that
nail.
happened.
That's okay. You hit the nail on the head. I came from a very poor socioeconomic background. I was a product of the state. And so I speak from experience when I say it's not empowering, it's not glorifying, it's not owning your body. None of that stuff is true. No little girl when they're 4 or 5 says, I want to grow up and be a hooker. OnlyFans is the biggest pimp of them all. They're still taking 20%.
Yes, but also a child that says they want to join the military is slightly creepy. You know, if they're from certain countries, nah, maybe just protecting the country. But like, you know, if they're from certain other countries, no, they just fall on a weirdo. I'm gonna say weirdo. I don't mean like they're abnormal. I mean literally, they're a concerning person because they appear to want to be a murderer. If you want to become a billionaire, you're a bad person. Okay, sorry to break it to you, but you're a bad person. I don't like you. But if you're in the online industry and you're a child, yeah. So that's one point there, I would say, which is, you know, yes, true, but I also feel like there's multiple jobs which you know, would be fine with, multiple positions you would be fine with, but also, I would say that if a kid did want to be that way, that's not a good thing. You know?
And your
Also,
content
like,
still gets leaked.
First of all, there's a whole thing, oh, I can't wait to grow up and be this. Yeah. The idea is you want to be it now, but you have to wait though. And everything. If you wanted it now, that would be a crime. If something, like, obviously there are child labor laws, but like if you just ignore for 1 minute the child labor laws, which you should be very careful doing. Some American states are interested in removing child labor as a legal thing, which is very concerning. But anyway, if you remove child labor for a second and remove the difficulty of that job, is it morally okay or okay legally for someone to be in the industry? If a child was like, I want to grow up and I want to be a weaponsmith, like, yeah, sure, or I want to, like, it's like, yeah, but like that's illegal though, and that's you're gonna ruin lives if you do that. So anyway, just
a lot.
I agree. I'm
Yeah.
not in favor of any kind of exploitation. I also am uncomfortable by
as I said, yeah, the OnlyFans thing is not. I wouldn't say I would have to agree with her there. It's not it's not very nice to see, because it is a platform, so you don't have freedom there. That's not freedom.
the idea of like women I know if they were in that industry. Like I admit, like it makes me feel uncomfortable.
Like, there are YouTubers who are big on this on the YouTube platform, right? Who have a ton of money, and a lot of it is not from YouTube. Some of it is from merch. They get donations, they get sponsorships, they get all this, and YouTube ads are a small part of it. So in that case, they are actually not that dependent on the platform. That's not always a good thing. Some of them are very bad. Some of them are very bad people. But it's true, unfortunately, sometimes. But what it means is that, unlike other platforms where the platform is able to break you, YouTube is not able to break most of its top talent. It's just not. Now, when I say top talent, I do mean that in the very debatable term of talent. Like, yeah, it's the talent of being a prick.
That's
gut
his
instinct.
personal.
So you have a daughter. I'm going to be having a daughter in 4 months.
Let's just
So-
go back to the daughter.
So,
okay.
well, I mean, it's a good question because
It's good.
you're raising a human being for the future of society that we're going to all shape. How does it make you feel to raise a daughter in a world where you
Sex
can either
work is
preserve,
respected, yeah.
you can
It's a
either
great-
preserve her
it's a great
innocence,
question.
or you can step away and let her do the OnlyFans
How about
thing.
respect
It's a
femininity?
great question, and there's
Femininity over
two truths.
feminism.
There's two truths that I feel like I can hold at the same time. One is I would be very uncomfortable if any female relative was, or person that I loved was exploring that profession. Like I would have
You
some
can't even say it.
I'm trying to be as
But as a
as like
father
professional as I can.
specifically,
Yeah,
'cause
as a
it
father
shows that you
specifically.
fail.
No, no,
kind
no.
of. No?
I don't think that I'd fail. I would have complex feelings to navigate.
Yeah.
On a higher level, I don't think that there's anything inherently wrong with that profession, and I respect people who do it in a way that's fulfilling to them and that brings them happiness. If someone's doing that job and it doesn't bring them joy, obviously I would not.
But most of
encourage
the
them.
women
But you have to
are doing it
understand it's
aren't
not bringing
fulfilled.
value or happiness
we
to
want to make a
women.
distinct.
I'm just trying not to wrap it all into one
Yeah.
bundle because
Right.
there's going to be exceptions. I think you just want
Yeah.
to be careful of like putting a negative label over like so many people's livelihoods.
I think it should be negative though, so that young daughters don't run to her. And why don't we have
We
more
respect
respect
them
for
enough to
femininity
Yeah, but like you've
versus
literally,
respect
but
for
see, a lot of you have supported, a military style thing, which I don't think is good. I don't think that's good. Obviously, that's a lot less. In that case, you're a lot more likely to be, if you're in the military, you might be murdered. Sure, might die. But you might be captured, you might be tortured, but you know, you also might be the murderer, the torturer, the psychopath. But in sex work, it's more like, no, either things are gonna go fine or not. You're most likely not gonna be in a position of authority, if you know what I mean. You're either gonna be in a neutral position or in a non-neutral, you're in an unstable position there. Generally, you know. People do get raped.
Sex work.
Oh my god, there are so many ads. You know that? Like so many ads. Like how many ads have I seen at this point? Like a lot. A lot. A lot of ads. Anyway.
Men should take birth control.
It should be a choice.
Sorry.
Well-
Sorry.
That's
Sorry.
Men should take birth control.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you definitely if you're having relations with someone, then definitely consult because
That's an interesting concept.
This is
yeah.
I think it should be a choice.
Well,
Well,
no,
male birth-
unless you've discussed with the person that you're having a relationship with, that you're in that way, that you want to have children, you want to give birth, then yes, you should take it. Because if you haven't had that consultation, then you're effectively saying, oh, you've got to take it, or we're going to be getting an abortion, or we're going to have to give birth. You know? You place no responsibility on the other person. No. You know. Only if you've agreed.
Birth
Both of
control does exist. The problem is there hasn't been a lot of funding into
Right.
making it commercially available. It's about making it an equal responsibility all around, especially if there's a more effective way, like a pill. They can't just whine about the side effects when they know
Well, have you heard of a vasectomy?
that it can significantly decrease a woman's
Okay, technically speaking, that's not taking birth control. That's just,
quality of life when she's dealing with all those
Her
side effects.
chance of
I agree with that.
fertility, her chances of, I've never been on birth control, and I don't believe in taking it. I don't believe in putting anything like that alters my body. I'm not saying either party should have it, because personally, I don't think
but you
that anyone should
sat down, though, for men should take birth.
put that stuff in their body. But if one's going to do it, and then the other one should have the option of doing
Yeah.
it. It's-
Yeah, if we're in a world where women have the access to it and men have the access to it, should is just such a strong
It's
word.
so strong.
Make the choice for
Yeah.
your own body. That's why I didn't walk
Yeah.
forward. But yeah, if you both have the option.
If men had the right to birth control, then they would ultimately be coinciding and deciding if a child should come to life. Right now, women ultimately
all
have
the
that
power.
decision. No matter what you say,
You have heard of a condom, right? You have heard of that, right? You understand what that is, right? Have you heard of
she
that?
gets to decide if she goes through with it or not. And I think that's kind of problematic.
But no, I think they're missing the existence of a condom. They appear to be describing if there was such a thing as male birth. That there is, though. It's just that the prompt is, should men take it? I think yes. You appear to think no.
But for many reasons, but yeah.
It goes back to why I stepped forward with the military draft. Everyone needs to take responsibility for people's sexual and reproductive health.
Yes, but you see, the thing is that well, that's not the same thing as the military, though. What I'm saying is, if you take birth control, you're not gonna stop some other person from giving birth. You're gonna stop the person you're fucking to give birth, or whatever the case may be. That's what's gonna happen. You are not going to. Well, I mean, it can fail. But, the intention is that you don't give birth. You don't have that process occur. So that's the point. not to take responsibility for other people. Anyway,
But are you saying that because you know that women would want a guy to take birth control? Like that's more of like you want to please the feminists?
Please myself because I'm a feminist.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like male feminists have a tendency to have the talking points, and they're like, women want us to take the birth control, so I guess
no, it's more like, well, no, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, like, in addition, it's more like, well, yeah, but like, if you should probably not go, oh, you're pregnant. Okay, yeah, we could have done something about this, but we didn't. So, you know, why didn't you? You could have. If you have not consulted with that person and the person has not said that they want to have a child, then you're effectively forcing that on that person if you've decided not to. If it's failed,
But like, do you actually think that you would?
Why wouldn't I?
Why don't you get a vasectomy?
I did.
Did you?
I have a vasectomy.
So there he did it. All right.
Okay. Yes.
I decided to get a vasectomy because I wanted to play a small, very small part in having men take more responsibility for their sexual and reproductive health.
it's good.
And once I learned more about vasectomies and the procedure, it seemed like a no-brainer for me to get it.
Yeah,
I've
'cause
known
they're reversible.
a few years that I didn't want children, and so I'd been thinking about getting a vasectomy. And then Roe v. Wade got overruled, and I just looked into it, and I started doing more research on it, and free of insurance.
Yeah, I was going to say.
No side effects. It's an outpatient procedure, so you go in 20 minutes, you're out.
You're out.
I went to work the next day. You should not take it if you have any inkling of a doubt about not wanting biological
I mean, it is reversible. But,
children because it's not 100% reversible.
yeah, it is. Yeah, but there is that I wanted to say. Which, well, it is reversible. It's similar to a lot of surgeries. It's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, it's reversible, but like, there is obviously a danger that you won't be able to reverse it. Although I'm similar though, it's the question is it like not 100% reversible, or is it more like, oh, you'll have to come back again because the usual process we do won't work this time, but we'll try something else. That sort of thing. Some cases you will have to.
In some cases they do it. Yeah.
Right. It's preposterous to me that it's only about 5 to 6% of men in the U.S. have a vasectomy, because definitely more than 5 to 6% of men in the U.S. don't want to have children.
That's true.
Yeah,
because it's like
complicated
condom,
with hormones. I know why.
vasectomy. There is no there's no middle ground between the two.
I mean, there's just not having sex.
And I think it's because of patriarchy. I know you hate me using that word, but like I think it's because we prioritize
gynocentrism. That's why. Listen, we have advanced.
What the
so much. You don't think they could come up with a pill at this point? Think about it.
They've come up with one. It's
it's
not
just
commercial.
there's not a market for it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is,
Gynocentrism is like a.
Okay, so I want to hear from the disagreeers.
One thing that I do agree with is the fact that birth control has a lot of side effects. And if I'm not going to take that, and a lot of people aren't going to take that and have the side effects, then I don't think men should have to.
I mean, like, the side effects are very limited. Anyway.
Do either. I think we live in an over-sexualized society where we're trying to, yes, find ways to solve this issue because you cannot stop everybody from doing it. Why not preserve and protect yourself and not go around and sleep with everybody?
But what if you're raped? That can happen. To both men and women. Generally it's women, but anyway.
That is
There's a
message
very
is very, very
minority.
small group of
Right.
people that believe that, mostly in the faith-based.
Right.
Yeah. I know. I mean, even beyond that, though, the argument though is like, you do realize you can like, the birth control is there is a wide various things. Like you can get wiring inside you that it'll just like kill sperm. Either you don't have a condom or anything, but it'll just kill it. Now, obviously, the thing is with birth control is that different forms of birth control have different success rates. But here's the thing: a lot of them have very high success rates, and one of the things you can do is do multiple types of birth control, which obviously rapidly increases it. You know, that kind of thing of like, well, if the condom fails, well then, you know, there's other things, and then all these things here. The point I'm making is that when you have this sort of situation, you can take multiple things to birth control. Obviously, you should contact someone, just make sure that you can take the ones you are taking. But the point I'm making is that inherently speaking, you can't just go, well, how about you don't sleep around people? Because what happens if you're in a relationship with people, but you regularly have sex, but it's the one person, it's one person, you know? Now, obviously, if it's a regular thing, so it's not like, well, chance. It's just no. It's a regular thing. You don't have children. You don't want to have that sort of thing there. You don't want to be in the position of, you know, having to get an abortion every, you know, I don't know. Depends, like how often. I'm just saying that just because you're not sleeping with multiple people does not mean that you are necessarily not in the same position.
Communities, but
Yeah,
as far
that's
as
your right to
Yeah.
to be able to do that and make that decision. And
I mean, I would say, you know, if it's with 2 or 3 or 4 or so on, many people, I mean, you know, I think your reaction should not be, you know, your reaction should be, well, I mean, the position should
you know,
be,
totally.
I just
if
don't
one
think
says they don't have a child, then no.
it's ever gonna get
I don't
like.
think it should be like imposed on everybody type of a thing.
I'm not for male birth control by force. If somebody wants to take that, yes, but
Okay.
I
Yeah, but it's not by
think there needs to
by
be more
force. It's like
comprehensive research and stuff.
by force, you have to be very careful by force because that makes it seem, well, certain groups have done it by force, and they tend to be eugenics groups.
Female birth
so-
control is a little sketchy at times because there
Yeah.
have been incidences where they've had to recall stuff because they kind
Multiple
of
times, yeah.
I think one of them was like the old Yaz. They had to recall
Yeah.
it because it was causing like blood clots or something.
Yeah,
Like,
that's very
most
common.
birth controls cause.
Do
Yeah,
that's
and-
what
That's not true.
and I hope we get to a place
Yeah.
where we're not using things where hormone, because the other thing is a lot of people don't get blood tests to check their hormones on a regular basis. And actually, technically, birth control, female birth control, is an oral steroid.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. It's actually a 19-nor, and like people are taking steroids.
I think we're going to find out decades from now how harmful this actually
has
is.
been.
Probably.
But once again, guys, the pill is not the only thing. Okay, there's a multitude of birth control things. This is my problem with people. They don't really think about, like, you do realize, okay, but what about all the other things? There are many things you can do. Many things. So think about them. Okay, you don't take the pill. There's many things besides condoms. Now, obviously, the thing with men is that there's less birth control for men, but there is still some. And, you know, so just let's be, you know.
Probably for
and-
both sexes.
And like
unfortunately, like the pharmaceutical industry is so based on profit that like if they think men
In some countries.
aren't going to take male birth control, they're not going to put in the research, they're not going to create it, they're not going to invest in it.
Yes, but other countries have the idea of, well, how about we fund, you know, our publicly funded doctors, publicly funded people to research this. And that is why, America, we don't have a private, you know, pharmaceutical business and a private hospital business, because it's really fucking stupid. Because guess what? People die and they get horrible diseases for no fucking reason, just because you didn't get money, guys. You know? That's the thing. Like, you just look at it and you go, like, America, you've got so many problems, and a lot of them are down to your capitalism. Like, extreme capitalism. Like, my country's capitalistic. Very much so. But it still does some better, it still does things far better than America does. By the way, I'm not saying my country is good. I'm not saying my country is the greatest, because it's not.
So if we socialize and say, hey, like this is a responsibility men should also have, then we can get research into all birth control and make it safer and more effective for everyone,
good.
so that we don't, not everyone has to be
That's
like
good.
experiencing these horrible side effects.
It's good that he's saying that, like, for fuck's sake. Are you kidding me? Sorry, it's just another ad. Like, it's just, Germany must have like 5-6 ads in this. Like, it's a lot of ads. Anyway,
Being a mother is the most valuable thing a
no.
woman can do.
You are a mother. I am.
Okay, we'll do a little child murder. Okay, fine. We'll drown your child in a bucket of water. You're not a mother anymore. Bye bye. Oh no, looks like your most valuable thing that you can do is gone. No, that's obviously no, it's not. I'm glad.
I mean, I am
Yeah,
a mother, but she'll be born later. When you choose to have a kid, you're putting aside not necessarily what you want to do in the future, because
Okay, so only one of them is actually a mother. So, one actual mother came forward.
I believe that women have every opportunity to still pursue what they want to do, even becoming a mother. It's very fulfilling, in a sense, to be that selfless, to bring a human being into the world and give everything to them.
Sure. Yeah, similar to having a pet, isn't it?
And watch
You're
them
so
grow up and
selfless.
become
You
their
want
own
to have
person, and to
pet,
feel that
you know,
love unconditionally that
some people, yes, but others, come on.
something materialistic will never give you.
Yeah. I honestly don't.
No, but I mean, seriously, like when you've got a pet, and let's say that pet needs to, if they are like a caged pet, maybe their cage needs to be cleaned out regularly, or if they live in like a dog in a dog house and you have to clean that out, you need to feed them. They're gonna cost you a lot of money. That's basically what we were gonna compare a child to that. So, what is the point of that? That animal will most likely be able to live on its own. Obviously some not so much. Some will need to live in a pack. But the point is, you're taking care of that animal because you want a pet. How is that different to having a child? Are you taking care of that child because you want to have a child? How is
Remember
that
my
selfish?
life before my son. And it really makes me sad today that more women, 10 years, more women in the United States will be opting out of marriage, out of children. That just is insane to me. It's innately in us to nurture and
Okay, once again, just the generalization of just deciding what's inherent. So it's inherent because I know that that's the way I feel, so it must be you too, What if I said to you that actually it's not the fact that you're a woman, it's the fact that you have black hair. And that's what it really is. Like, this is the point. You're generalizing by saying, this is what I am, and this is what I think all people like what I am. They are this way because I'm this way. That's not a good policy to have. That's not a good policy to have. Because why? Why?
to love and to care.
What about women who are murderers? Like, not women who are murderers because they killed someone they didn't like. I mean, literally just a passion project. Just don't really have a concern for human life. There are women out there. Are they nurturing and loving? Yeah, maybe of the sport. I guess maybe, but isn't everyone? But just of a particular thing. They love their job, maybe, or their activity. Life, maybe. Maybe they don't know. No, creating life, just living. I guess maybe, but isn't that men as well?
To create life. We literally give birth. It's an ability, a gift, and it's also, too much is given, much is required. It's a
Okay. Okay.
massive responsibility to raise a child, knowing that, as someone
You
said
don't have to raise a child just because you give birth.
earlier, your children are going to be the future
Not if they die
of our planet.
before you die, I mean.
Wow, a lot
I
of
want to hear
disagreeers.
more from the disagreeers.
We're running the moms through the
know.
dirt. That's what I heard.
I think it's going to be the most valuable thing that I do in life to have children and create a family.
Okay, bit weird.
It's just such a subjective thing, and there's so many things that people contribute to the world. And for, I think, most women, when they
Also, I mean, it is a bit weird as well. Like, okay, let's add on to this because we're talking about humans. Let's say being a human mother is the most valuable thing a human woman can do. Okay, so no, that's factually incorrect. Basically, giving birth to a human is like giving birth to, like a lion or some other really predatory animal. That's just fucking moronic. You're giving birth to a creature that will most likely destroy the environment, will kill just thousands, if not millions, of animals indirectly, and possibly billions if they are involved in specific industries. And yeah, great for you there. You do realize humans kill this planet. We're killing it. You're killing it. So when you have another human, that's what you were doing. Doing with that. So that's a great job. Really, really, really valuable work there.
They leave this earth sitting on the deathbed, they probably will think the most powerful and valuable thing they've ever done is to create children, you know?
Yeah,
There's like
give birth to parasites. Imagine, you know those movies where like it's like they're in a cave and there's like this, like maybe it's an alien or just some like undiscovered animal, and it's like, oh no, they're everywhere, and it took like a 50 tanks to take down one of them, and there's like thousands inside this cave. Oh no! And then when they pop, and they spread out in the world and they take it over and they kill everyone. That's effectively what a human is. Just this little parasite slowly killing the planet. No, not everywhere, of course. Some people actually care for the planet and don't harm it, but not in America. Almost by necessity, you're gonna kill the planet, and that I mean, even people who are really protective of the environment, unfortunately, just because of where they live, they are in a society which is gonna do that.
Like the famous quote, the greatest two things that you can leave on this earth when you die is art and children. And I think a lot of people are going to feel that way. I just don't want to subscribe value to somebody who doesn't see that as
I
Yeah,
understand.
or somebody who can't have kids or just chooses not to.
Can
You know,
adopt.
you know, there's
can
other
adopt.
ways to achieve greatness, but being a mom is a great thing. I think we all.
Being a good mom.
Does anyone?
Being a good mom, yes.
Yeah, a good mom. There's a lot of people who are moms. Not
That's a
everybody's a
good
good
point.
mom.
I was raised by a single
I mean,
mom.
that's
on top of
fair, I guess. You could be a mother that hasn't given birth. Okay, that's a more fair thing there. Still no though.
that, I was also adopted. So my birth mother had to make an incredibly difficult choice to decide not to pursue raising this child. And then my mother, who is a single mom, raised me and raised my siblings. The thing is she was also like a teacher and a professor and a principal and an administrator. Honestly, what feminism really should be about and is about is making it so that women, if they choose to be a mother and just do that for their entire life, they get as much respect and value and everything that they should be afforded as someone who decides to be a billionaire.
No. Billionaire CEO should be executed, in my opinion. No, that's not. I'm joking. No. I'm kidding there. No, maybe some prison time. But or not. Maybe just be like it's like if you have a brain issue and you're on a bus suddenly and you don't realize you're there. So yeah, you help the person get home, that kind of thing. So you help the person have all their billions taken away from them. That thing. There you go. No, billionaire CEOs, not a good policy.
Billionaire CEO as a woman.
The feminist movement is teaching women
See,
that
no one
it's
should be a
the
billionaire.
worst thing you could possibly do because you're gonna lose your money and you're gonna.
I disagree, and I think sometimes some people live in echo chambers, and that might be a problem. But like, also, here's the other thing: are women not having children because it's economically difficult? Because in America, it's really hard to have the kids, really expensive.
I'm-
We don't have health care. We don't.
You're fine, but not
fine,
everyone.
I
is
know,
fine.
but I'm saying
like,
that
like
what
me and my
the act of
girlfriend-
having
me-
a kid
me-
takes. Two people.
Yes, but me and my girlfriend, we could probably afford a kid, but we right now it's.
I mean, currently, technically speaking, if you say, let's say in the future you have artificially lab-generated sperm, literally just lab, it's completely lab, which would be a somewhat dystopian future. But anyway, technically speaking, of course, well, it took many people to do that, but you know what I'm saying. So.
Probably not good because of
And
our
you're making
situations.
that decision. And
But here's the other thing: not everybody has that decision to make. And it's actually economically really hard to have a kid in this country. Somebody's going to have to stop working. Somebody's going to have to make less money. There's
Well,
not healthcare.
not necessarily. If you're making enough money, you can hire somebody out to take care of a child, or that sort of thing. Which means that, you don't have neglect. But also, people would make the argument of, well, you are actually neglecting the child. You're just ensuring that they aren't neglected, as a child. Like, that they're not neglected, but you are neglecting them, if you know what I mean. Like, by paying somebody else, that person's taking care. It's the equivalent of if that person just found the child and out of the goodness of their heart, except obviously not, took care of it, right? That sort of thing. You do have those cases there. So not necessarily, but obviously the problem is, are you earning enough to support a child? Are you able to work and earn enough so that you're paying somebody else to take care of your child? And then in that case, the argument could be, well, if you are earning enough, why exactly is that person having to work to take care of your child if they're not doing it out of the goodness of their heart? That sort of thing. There are ethical issues there. Like, if you're a millionaire and you just pay someone to take care of your child, it feels a bit, economically concerning.
When I had my son, I had no means. I had been trafficked, obviously. I made the decision to see it as life and to have the child. And I had the child, and I was homeless in Newport Beach 8 years ago. When my son was just still nursing, 10 months old, worked around the clock and didn't stop until he was almost 5 years old, so until I got my degree. Well,
How
3
do you
credits.
handle childcare?
And the county pays for it. That's why I'm trying to say we do have resources. I was a
No, not all.
full-time
Yeah,
student,
but that's
and because
Newport
of
Beach. Like that's not everywhere.
California is
And
one of the more
dissect
accepted.
every
every
if you're a
county
single
and see
mom-
which counties offer it.
California is one of the more
Yeah.
accepted.
Yeah, just move county and be homeless, I guess, for ever. Because, well, how will you afford to live in that area? If that area is more expensive, let's say you're able to afford an apartment, but you're not able to afford an apartment and childcare. Okay, so you can move to this area, and then in this area, the state will pay for it, okay? But in this area, the rental price is much higher, and you can't afford that rent. So you have a choice to make.
So I do think there's resources if you look for them. And I don't think that just saying, oh, it's expensive to have a kid. Like,
Woe is me, I can't have
So
a kid.
what if every single person who has financial difficulties moves to the area? Then they will most likely do one of two things. They will either remove that, just remove it, because, it's costing them too much, or make it more problematic. Rental prices will increase. It'll be even harder to find a home. So that's the issue.
Because
How do you get there?
I'm too poor. No, we live in a country where, like I
Okay. I'm gonna guess this person's very ignorant.
said earlier, we have the opportunities to pursue
This typical, fucking moronic.
what we can and what we want to do. And I don't think the feminist movement has any place to tell someone,
Yeah, but you are actually really stupid, because objectively we don't. Look, imagine you want to be a rocket engineer, but whether you have a private system, a public system, we have enough rocket engineers. We've decided, so literally doesn't matter what you can offer, maybe to be paid less, but at this point we have enough rocket engineers. We have enough. And the thing is, maybe you get in that job, great, but then we have to remove someone. Someone else loses their job. Someone is going to be in that position where they can't. So there are many jobs where the job vacancies are filled. So the idea of get another job, yeah, fine, I'll get a job that I hate, eh? Oh, wait, maybe I'm not qualified. But even if I am qualified, that's great. But this woman told me that I can get a job in something I want to do. No, though. Some people will be able to get a job. They will have enough education, they will have enough resources, they will have enough ability. But they certainly cannot guarantee that they can get the job they want. That is ignorant.
That they're too dumb or too poor to be able to have a kid.
Oh, absolutely not. No
But
one
that
should be
is what
saying
the feminist movement is doing.
No,
I
they're
agree.
not.
Yeah, maybe it's not as cool or fashionable to become a parent. Maybe like that's not, what people are valuing. Feminism to me.
You know, people like their slaves to be there. They like their slaves to be there. Like their slaves to be there, doing all the work for them. Doesn't mean they like the slave, though. Necessarily. Like the fact that the slave is there. They value the fact that the slave is there. But that doesn't mean the slave is happy. That means the person who owns the slave is happy. So, you know.
And I think to the other guys here is just like viewing the sexes equally and feeling like they should have equal opportunity. I don't think it expands much beyond that. No one here is saying it's not cool to be a mom or women shouldn't aspire to be a mom if that's going to be fulfilling to them. If that's like your path, by all means, I think you should do it. My wife was very specific and like direct with me when we started dating. She's like, I want to have kids. This is important to me. Are you on board or not? And that was a goal that we set for ourselves. But she's not just a mom. You know, there's other things. She has other.
Did she know at the time she was able to have kids? Because that seems very forward. Like, I want to have kids. Do you know you can? Do you know that this person can? Like, what happens if, you know, they're like, yeah, I want to have kids too. But I haven't had myself checked it. I haven't had the ability of me to get checked. So then in that case, well, do you know you are able to? Like, that seems like a very...
Their ambitions. And she can do both of those things, and I think we all feel that that's possible.
Not
So
for everyone, though. You know?
Hear you say, you know, like feminism is saying that like moms can't do this or don't be a mom. I'm not sharing that experience of that information.
We don't shame motherhood. Like our side, we promote it a lot of the times, but whenever you hear the opposite thing, it's usually from the feminists.
It is. Oh my god. There are a lot of ads in this, aren't there?
Men need to be masculine to keep their families safe.
Okay, wow. One interesting thing here is, let's say, you know, you come up to someone and you're very violent in your nature because they seem like they're kind of violent, but they're actually not being violent, you know? And you're kind of a bit overprotective, you know? You're being the masculine boy, being fucking strong. But the thing is, you're not that strong. You're being the strong boy, but you're actually not that strong. So this person pulls out a knife and stabs you multiple times in his chest and then kills your whole family. Thanks for being the person who interferes. That person wasn't doing anything. You antagonized them. No, I'm just saying that's an extreme, obviously, but like...
Of course he's going to step forward. Look at him.
Oh my god, I'm mushy. Oh, that says a lot, doesn't it? I hope she's joking, because otherwise, that says a lot.
I think there's a reason why people love Andrew Tate. And whatever you think about him.
Okay. To reframe this, Andrew Tate is a sex trafficker. So, you know, let's not be, you know, whatever you think about him, you know, pretty disgusting man.
In regards to what he's being accused of, which he has not been proven, but that's neither here nor there. Men gravitated toward that. Why? Because he spoke to men in a sense of being a man, being a protector. And
Did you realize he's a trafficker, right?
you have to be in charge of all your faculties and think more critically. So those aspects of masculinity appealed to men because men want to innately protect. If I go on a date and you take me on a date and he's like, no, I wouldn't, but that's okay. And you take me to a dinner.
I have to ask, if you accuse the person who was trafficking you, or the people who were trafficking you, of doing that, and someone was to say to you, oh no, you can't say you were trafficked because it hasn't been proven. You see why that might be an issue? And if they're arrested and they're imprisoned. And you're still saying, oh no, people are still saying you can't say that. Come on, let's not talk bullshit.
And you don't sit facing the door.
You do
I'm
realize he is basically admitted to it, right? Anyway, let's
never
just.
going out on another date with you. It's not like we're helpless, like
So, sorry.
facing the door. I'm never going out on another date. Take me to a dinner, and you don't sit facing the door. I'm never going out on another date with you. It's not
What?
not
Why?
like we're helpless, like I can't do anything. But having a man stand by you, protect you and your family and your children, masculinity is very important.
There are situations, like for example, like I'm like 230 pounds, my girlfriend's like 110, 5'2". Like there's no way if somebody breaks in the house that she's gonna fight them off unless she has a gun on her or something. But so in that situation, I would.
Yeah, but what if you're there and they have a gun? Like, like their armed robbery is a thing, but like in some cases, armed robbers don't actually fire the gun. So the gun is there, or if it's a knife, the knife is there, or if it's a sword, the sword is there because it's there as a threat. If you don't do as they say, I have a weapon here which will kill you, or could kill you, or will harm you a lot more than a punch will. Or, is basically like, it doesn't matter if you're strong. What you have to think of is, if your partner isn't able to fend off a burglar, unless they have a weapon, what if the person invading your home has a weapon? Then the situation is flipped. Because now they can protect themselves against you. Obviously, they can protect themselves in the sense that they are attacking you. But, you being in that position is not always a great idea. Anyway.
Fill that masculine role, but like anybody can be strong. Anybody, like in a situation where I'm not there, I would hope if we had kids, she could protect them and defend them like the best she could. Where I get the issue with like, oh, men need to be masculine. It's like, oh, men need to always go work and bring the money and all this stuff. Because my girlfriend, she's highly educated. She actually makes way more money than I do, like way more. I work as a personal trainer. I don't make as much as she does. It is traditionally not very masculine for a woman to make more money than a man. And I know some people, they will.
Yes, I mean, it's traditionally masculine and more masculine than a woman. Anyway.
Be like, oh, you're not a real man if your woman makes more money than you. That's pathetic. Why is she with you? You sound like a loser.
Yeah, but like, if someone makes, 100 grand a year and you make 90, or they make 50 and you make 20, there's various different things of like they make more than you do. So,
things like that. And I don't let that define my masculinity. I used to be insecure about it, but now I've grown more mature, and I feel like we're getting to a society where that's less of a problem. And like some people might disagree with this, and like, but it's just my opinion. I think to raise a son, it's easier if you're a man. It doesn't have to be a father. It could be an uncle or some positive role model. Same thing with a positive female role model, because like, I don't know what it's like to be like a female going through puberty, but I was a young man. Right now, a lot of our young men are misguided, and a lot of them are making bad decisions, and it's because like.
Well, a lot of them are Nazis. Well, I wouldn't say Nazis. Nazis is a bad term to use, because really Nazis are not really applicable in America, because if you're like a Nazi in America, you're an idiot, because you'd be killed by the Nazis, most likely. A fascist is a better term to use.
A lot of these young men get this testosterone boost, their brains aren't fully developed, and they like, the vast majority of crimes are committed by 16 to 23-year-olds.
The reason I walk forward is about exactly what you just said. Men have these feelings.
Well, what crimes, though? If you look at the crimes that have the most damage, it's actually older men, older white men. So the crimes that hurt the most people, they're committed by older men in positions of authority. So it's not factually accurate really there, because if you just say more crimes, well, drug possession is a crime. Speeding is technically a crime. If you're caught speeding, that's a crime, technically. Drunk driving is a crime. Public urination is a crime. All these things are crimes, but they're all relatively low. Although I would say, like speeding, obviously, can kill a lot of people in that way there. But there's all these sort of things here. And there's, especially in America, there's a lot of things that are crimes that are either like not really enforced, or they're relatively low levels. What I'm trying to say. And now, sometimes they are very strictly enforced and given very large sentences, but they're not actually really hard. You hurt other people's crimes. So it's not really fair to say that's true. It's arguable. But anyway, although, decision to
and
do
this
crimes.
aggression often deep inside them, and it's about using that aggression or those feelings that you have to protect rather than to inflict.
I guess I'm just not entirely sure what, just masculinity in general has to do with keeping people safe.
Could I quickly respond? And that I
Yeah.
just think it's that men have that natural propensity towards it. If I think of roles in society that are protectors, we could say police officer.
No, not of you. Police officer there to protect the status quo. Not you.
Officers, anybody who's going to take on that role of physical aggression in order to stop a bad situation from happening.
The bad situation though being, if you are, let's say you're protesting, let's say, a politician has decided to just be a racist and just make a racist law. Let's say you're outside and you're protesting, but there's also a law against protesting. So the police come in and they water cannon, maybe tear gas, all this stuff, maybe even shooting rubber bullets into you. You're there battered and bruised. And why are you battered and bruised? Because you were the bad situation. You're the bad situation. That's what society considers you, the bad situation. You who are protesting a non-violent protest, or maybe even a violent protest, protesting a law which is super racist. And we're going to say the law is racist here. So whatever your understanding of what racist is, fill it in there. So there. I'm just saying, that situation,
Men
debatable.
tend to take those roles, and if you just look
Yeah,
at
but that's part of patriarchy, though. Like, women were not allowed to join many police officers' roles.
the demographics of those roles in particular, men choose to take that on and they persevere and drive for it.
Let's say
Yeah, can I explain this to you? Police officers, managers, people in positions of authority are a lot of the time people who want to do something slightly different. They want to have power. So when you've got a police officer, it does not mean that they are there to protect you. No, they're there to have power. Now, some of them are able to hold themselves back. They're able to just say, I got the bad guys, yeah. And sure, sometimes they'll go the bad guys when they really just mean the people who broke the law. Which isn't always very nice, because sometimes it's like, yeah, the bad guys, definitely that person who had drugs on them, certainly, and you. Yeah, I mean, technically, yeah, they did break the law, but I mean, it's not quite the same thing, though, is it? As other things. So the point is, though, the police officers are also more likely to commit rape, to physically assault someone, and to sexually assault someone. So, and just do, regular, disgusting actions. Why is that? It's because they have authority. It's because they're able to do that. And in some cases, it's because they honestly aren't breaking any laws. Although, if somebody else did that, they would. Like, a police officer is legally allowed to strip search you. A random person on the street is not. If a random person on the street told you to strip and began touching you, yeah, that would be highly illegal. Highly illegal. But a police officer? No, it's not. So that's the point. There's a business authority, there's just laws that just don't apply to them, and then there's just laws that they can get away with breaking. Because if you're a position of authority, yeah, you're less likely to, be believed if you are accusing someone in a position of authority. They are more likely to have a position that they are protected, even if you are believed. There, as I said earlier, there's this sort of thing of like, in the UK government, there was a person, they knew they were an abuser. They knew they were in that position. They knew that. It wasn't like they had reports, but nobody was believed. No, they believed them, but they didn't care. They didn't bother removing them. So that's the point. So even when people are believed, even when people are in the position, so no, actually, people who seek out powerful roles are actually not oftentimes there to protect you. They're there for that powerful role, to abuse it.
I get married to a guy and he wants to be a stay-at-home dad. That's fine. I enjoy working. So I actually wouldn't be totally opposed to me grabbing the gun if an intruder came in and being the one to kill somebody if my husband's...
You do realize you're there, you've just murdered somebody, right? Like, if an intruder comes in, let's say intruder is drunk and your door is open and they thought it was their house. You just shoot the person through the face. They're dead now because you're trigger happy. Now, you probably get away with it, but guess what? You did murder that person.
Normally like the one protecting the kids, I guess. I don't think it necessarily matters who's protecting the family, just somebody must.
I like what you said about intuition though. Like my wife has a lot of intuition. I think she's better than me at like helping us avoid unsafe situations.
But to physically combat a stranger that's at your door with a gun, a mask on, and is breaking in.
No, but if you try and physically get to a stranger who has a gun, you might get shot. Then you're being kind of stupid. A little bit, you know?
Yeah, it's convenient to have someone who's more like him than...
But would you send your wife who's intuitive
men...
to use her intuitive powers to handle that?
To calm the person down, to go, please, sir, or person, please, person, just leave. We won't call the police. We won't do anything. Just please leave. Or, come here! You've just been shot. So, in the other circumstance, what? They held you at gunpoint and robbed you anyway? Okay, that's the worst case scenario there. In this case, you got shot. So, I see it as, yeah, probably I feel that maybe the area where you get robbed is probably better than where you get murdered. Depending on what they rob, I guess.
Protect, or would you use your masculine, my daughter's protected, I'm going down there.
If we get attacked, I'm going to do everything I can to protect my family. That's not men having to be masculine. I just think that's people protecting those they love. I think when women are put in situations where they have to protect their families, they can exert tremendous force. Obviously, they're more vulnerable because they're not.
I mean, that's the thing, though. Like, as well, a woman can most certainly, definitely attack a man as well. Another woman as well.
Typically, like, as strong on average.
I'm full of testosterone, right?
But I just don't think like this is something men have to do. I think you gotta be careful about putting pressure on men to embody.
I mean, that is the thing though, like just getting aside of that, just besides the whole thing of, well, this is what women would do and this is what men would do, but even just women can attack a man as well with physical strength, and they assuming that they wouldn't is just fucking ignorant.
Body some sort of like macho, tough, violent.
I don't think it's macho.
I've had men in my life who like embody that tough role, and it like creates uncomfortable environments. It sometimes invites aggression, danger to the situation. It's a certain role playing that I think men actually, it's beneficial to grow out of.
Why do you think it's a role though? What if that's just who they are?
It's innately in them.
Well, then I think they should go to therapy and work on it, or like play a sport and get out that aggression.
So I understand.
Aggression isn't bad.
I always hear from other male feminists like, oh, that guy's trying to be a macho guy. Why?
Okay, well, so here's the thing. I think sometimes it's not genuine. He's playing a character. Actually, I'm usually the one to de-escalate situations because of how I look and how I am presented. So I de-escalate. And actually, I always tell people I always encourage young men, avoid the fight.
Yeah.
If you can avoid it, stay away. But if you have to, obviously do what you have to do, like survive. And I would say to women or anything, but don't start and actually try to deter, get away, because violence should be always a last resort. Violence only brings more violence.
Begets, not bring. My God Almighty, this is like. Anyway, back we go. Come on.
The differences between men and women should be celebrated.
What differences?
I'm talking about poles of energy. We have polarity in everything in the universe, from the battery. You can't put two negatives into a battery and it work. You can't put two positives, has to go flop. So there's
No, sorry to break it. No, that's how electrical things are generally set up, because it's a lot more efficient. Because instead of having to wire one thing and then have a longer wire going around, which means it's more likely to break. But technically, no, you could put two positives aligned beside each other. You just can't put a positive, you know, on the wrong end, if you know what I mean. But you could technically have to. It just would be not very wise and pointless because you're using up more resources and also things are more likely to go wrong. But anyway.
There's poles day and night, everything, yin yang, it's energy, and we are energy.
I don't think everything's polar though.
It
like,
is, though.
Why apply one lens to
Well,
the
you
whole
just stepped
universe?
forward with the prompt that said that masculine
think-
men and women's
Well,
differences
well,
should be celebrated.
I want to celebrate the difference
So-
between men and women, but I feel like you have this tendency to apply sometimes like these
Speaking over
quantum
you once, so you know, like a bit, you know.
more
Because
like
it is, because we live in a
these
quantum
macro
universe of
ideas
masculine and
to
feminine
everything.
energy.
But you
It
guys
just
do
doesn't
the
have to
same
be
thing too, though.
I think he's just saying to celebrate differences doesn't mean we exist on two opposite poles, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
And I'm
We've
okay,
spent
and
our
I'm saying that.
Yeah,
So
like,
I'm saying that.
there's things exist in nature that are triangles or triads. Like not everything's yin and yang, you know.
But it,
It's
but,
just,
it, but it kind of is. I actually
Well-
believe that the masculine energy is is elevated in a sense that they have more responsibility as protector, provider. And so for women, we like lean to them and we look up to them as the leader.
Jesus, my God, you are, no offense meant to you, but I think, you know, you need to seek some help.
So not to say that they're not equal, but there's a little bit more responsibility
There's issues there. I think you need to seek some help.
in the masculine field. And without those outlines of structure, then we have chaos and we don't have a society. We have no more children because women aren't having children anymore.
I don't think I fear chaos
It's not true, but anyway.
as much as you. You threw it.
Also, you do realize our population is going to collapse in size after a while because we're just going to have massive issues. Because the issue really is, if you're a billionaire, you're going to go, after a while, how many people do you really need to satisfy your wants? You know? If you're a billionaire, you want everything. You want a house, you want to be able to build a house anywhere. How many people do you need? You don't need 8, 9, 10, 7, 6, 5 billion. You need that many people to leech off of to ensure that you have low-level millionaires. You have people in the hundreds of thousands that they can be comfortable, sure. All those people, but you don't need them to be comfortable yourself. So really, why would you bother helping to save them? Why would you bother when you own a company that produces a product? Why would you bother having a system where the product is cheap enough that the average person can buy it? Simple statement is you wouldn't. So those people are going to die. So yeah, and he's probably going to get cold a bit. But you know.
In a little nugget, I have to take it. You do see women as not.
I
you know,
don't.
on
I
the
don't
same
see
le-
them as the same
It-
level as
I
me.
just
You're right.
wouldn't. I would encourage you, like, from a loving place, to just maybe challenge that. Like, what?
I
How might
challenge
your
all the
how might
time.
your experience
I
change
think
if
women,
you saw yourself?
I think
Hold on,
women
let
are
me keep-
4 quarters, a guy is $1. I think they're equal, they're just not the same.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that the prompt and what I really took to is that it's so important for you guys to celebrate
Weird way of putting it, but anyway.
your femininity and celebrate what it means to be a woman for you, and we will joyfully celebrate that with you.
His money is just fake. It's just
Right? And likewise to us. However we want to express our masculinity, that should be celebrated, right?
In whichever way you had to do it, and like I said, I don't think it's as rigid as like we want society, like some people want us to think it is.
so. I guess that almost works. Where like they're different in concept, but realistically, the concept is fake. So
But it should be
Both.
celebrated because there are innate differences that are like just biological, and there's going to be those differences, and there shouldn't be anything frowned upon. Like, women being like more softer or emotional, it shouldn't be something frowned upon. But if a man chooses to be that shouldn't be like that's feminine, that's not masculine. That's we should celebrate those qualities in people.
Can the disagree step forward?
Men are more enslaved than ever before.
incredibly ignorant.
This is a tough one, huh?
I agree with most of what everyone said. It's just the should. I agree that the differences between men and women can be celebrated, and I celebrate it. I think most people do
What differences though?
to some extent. Do as you please. Yeah.
I feel like it's important to celebrate it because I know for me, part of with gender dysphoria, I really enjoyed, emulating and having masculine traits and being a man. So being able to celebrate that and say, all right, fantastic, I can celebrate that this is a different thing than what my sex assigned at birth
Yeah.
would tend to go for. But celebrating both sides of those things and the dichotomy that may be different is really essential to allowing anyone to really just express themselves the way they want to.
Thank you guys. You guys were all amazing.
Thank you.
Very good sports.
Yeah, I wish we could do
Yeah, you
like
guys
5
did
more
great.
problems.
So yeah, that was something else.
Yeah, you guys, it was
A lot of
all
that
very
was
helpful.
very
Got to
ignorant.
see another side of feminism.
Very, very stupid. And very, very problematic. So, yeah, I mean, I think that inherently one of the issues that surrounds people is this problem of not quite being able to do a lot of things. Like, basically, I think the issue with this video was that, like, some people were just, like, even some on the male feminist side were just kind of, they were being a bit ignorant and stuff. And there were some other different issues there. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you want to check out Jubilee's videos, you can like, get the original video and their channel in the description. It should be there anyway. Yeah. Goodbye, I guess. Yeah. Bye-bye.